Having waited all summer for an Arsenal match to get us back into the groove, along comes a second Gunners outing in 3 days. This morning, Arsene Wenger's men take on Western Sydney Wanderers. Hello and welcome to the Matchday Show. Wherever you are in the world, we thank you for your company and look forward to what we hope will be another enjoyable pre-season friendly at the wonderful ANZ Stadium. Plenty of Arsenal's whiz kids caught the eye on Thursday, and around 20 years ago, my studio guest happened to be one of those himself. He still doesn't look a day over 40, does he? It's great to have Stephen Hughes with us to provide a spot of expert analysis. The doors are also open in the social media hub, so please do send us your tweets using the hashtag Arsenal in Sydney or AFC Tour 2017, and we'll do our level best to read them out. Emails can also be sent to studio@arsenal.co.uk. Don't be shy. Do get yourself involved. Hughesy, it's great to see you. Some of the younger players made a real impression the other day, didn't they?
They did. I think two in particular for me, Reece Nelson and Joe Willock. I think Reece Nelson on that right-hand side had an excellent game. A lot of people are talking about him. Loads of confidence, lots of pace up and down. I think Willock as well in the middle of the park, looked very silky, can go past players, lots of confidence. So them two in particular caught me up.
Yeah, only 17 years of age, those two. It's not easy when you're 17 to step up into men's football per se, but to suddenly play in front of 80,000 fans and shine, that's a real positive for Arsene Wenger, isn't it?
It's a huge positive, but a lot of these players will come into pre-season just like we did, and look and think it could be an opportunity, you know, to really make a mark, you know, get in the team and hopefully prove that you can do it at this level.
Yeah, and it's not just about making a mark so that you're involved in the Premier League team in 4 weeks' time, is it? It's just making that seed into the manager's head, isn't it? Planting that seed that, hang on, this kid might be good enough should I need them this season.
I think pre-season is a great opportunity for that. You know, he brings a number of young players, always does, and he puts them in and see whether they can cope or they're ready at that level yet. And those two we spoke about, but there was a number that really impressed.
Yeah, they all did well, didn't they? But Nelson and Willock really stood out. Let's check out the goals from that match against Sydney FC on Thursday morning. It was a great start, just 4 minutes in, Hughesy. Per Mertesacker scored, and our match commentator, David Hillier, he described this as an overhead kick. What are you saying?
Well, Hills is a mate of mine, but I'm not so sure that was an overhead kick for me. You know, it's a really composed finish from the big man, it really is. Does really well to hold the defender off, and he just finds a corner of the net, but overhead kick, I'm not so sure, you know, I'm not so sure on that one, Hills.
He'll be pleased though, won't he, the big man? He finished last season, I mean, an unbelievable FA Cup final performance. 4 minutes into pre-season he does this.
Yeah, he'd be absolutely delighted. Obviously he knows this is his last season of football. He's gone on, he's professional all last year and he's going to be professional again. Delighted to see him on the score sheet.
This was a big moment though, wasn't it? You boy, Lacazette, getting off the mark.
Well, hopefully we're going to see a lot more of that. It's a really comfortable finish for him. Great awareness from Alex Iwobi to pick him out. And that's where we're going to see him floating in and around the box. And as we all know, he can definitely finish.
It's a good run, isn't it, from Alexander Lacazette? A really tidy finish. But that's what he's all about, isn't it? This is the type of goal that's earned him this move.
Yeah, I think it is. And he just finds that little bit of space into the box. Doesn't go in there and get marked. But it's a great little pick out from Alex Iwobi. And if he does that, he's going to score a hatful of goals for us.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it, for strikers? Because we're always under a little bit of pressure, especially when you got a huge price tag. If you don't score in your first 2, 3, 4 games in pre-season, suddenly by the time the actual campaign begins, he's under pressure. So to get that monkey off his back is great news for everyone, isn't it?
Yeah, we know what centre forwards are like. You know, they thrive on goals, and obviously, as you said, it's a big move for him. You know, he is going to be nervous. He's got that out of the way, and I'm sure he'll get opportunities to score again today.
Yes, hopefully. Does he start today? That is the big question. Well, let's find out now, shall we? Our pitch side reporters Rob Kelly and Chris Harris have all the team news for you.
Thanks Thanks, Adrian. We're back at the ANZ Stadium here in Sydney on the last day of this leg of the tour. Rob Kelly's with me. Rob, how have you spent your last day here?
It's been a terrible day, to be honest with you. Life is very tough on tour. We spent the morning on a boat cruise around Sydney Harbour with a load of Australian fans having a few drinks. It's been really tough. It's been a fantastic trip, this, I've got to say, to Sydney. The Australian fans have been incredible everywhere we've gone, and we're just looking at bowing out in style tonight.
Arsene Wenger played two teams against Sydney FC a couple of nights ago. He made 11 changes in the second half. What are we going to get tonight?
Pretty much basically the team that finished the game the other day is going to start the game here tonight. So there'll be some interesting names. Mohamed El Neni starting as centre-back. That's not a position that we've seen him play before for the first team. He finished the game the other day in that position. Fared pretty well. Be interesting to see how he does today. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, there's an interesting one. He won the Under-20 World Cup with England this summer. So let's see if he can do what Reece Nelson did the other night. And he made such a claim for a first-team place. Let's see if Ainsley Maitland-Niles can do the same.
No Czech tonight. He's been rested. No Marlon. He's got a dead leg, so he won't play any part either. El Neni's an interesting one. We've never seen him in that role. Why do you think it can work for him there?
He's a very calm player. You never see him flustered. He just does the simple things very, very well. He'll be able to push forward, go back. He's got a bit of a turn of pace on him. I think El Neni will be, of all the players, we haven't got a huge amount of centre-backs on tour with us, and we're playing through at the back, so he's as good as option as any.
Plenty of centre midfielders on tour, and it's Granit Xhaka and Aaron Ramsey who are back in tandem as they were for so much of the last part of the season. They've got a real understanding going.
Absolutely. Towards the end of last season, when we switched formation, we saw Xhaka and Ramsey. You saw basically Arsene Wenger changing his formation has got the best out of both of them. They perform really well. Xhaka's able to spray those passes around the pitch. Aaron Ramsey's able to bomb forward at will. He knows he's got that defensive protection. It'll be really interesting to see if they can continue that tonight.
Don't tell anyone, but we heard the Western Sydney Wanderers are not as good as Sydney FC, so we could get a few goals tonight. Whatever it is, watch it live right here on Arsenal.com. Adrian, back to you.
Cheers, Chris. Let's hope we do get plenty of goals in this morning's match. Right, your team is David Ospina in goal, Lauren Koscielny, Mohamed El Neni at centre-back, and Nacho Monreal. The two wing-backs are Ainsley Maitland-Niles and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Central midfield, we've got Granit Xhaka and Aaron Ramsey, Alex Iwobi and Alex Lacazette in behind the main striker today, which will be Olivier Giroud. Practically the same side that finished that game the other day against Sydney FC. Interesting to see Lacazette not spearheading the attack. He's playing just off of Giroud. Is that something we're going to have to get used to this season?
I don't think so, no. I think Lacazette will still be the main one, centre forward there, but it's definitely an option. You can play the big man, Olivier Giroud, obviously in behind, a little bit more of a 10 role, but I think Lacazette likes to play the main strike. I think we'll see more of that.
Yeah, that's what we've signed him for, isn't it? Interesting to see Mohamed El Neni at centre half. Obviously, we've got a few players that are missing this tour. Mustafi, of course, was in the Confederations Cup. Holding was involved with the England under-21s. Gabriel's injured. We do feel a little bit light there, though. Would you imagine Arsene Wenger's in the market for a centre-half?
Potentially. We're all talking about forward-thinking players. We've been linked to a lot of forward-thinking players, but maybe, potentially another centre-half. If the right one comes on the radar, I'm pretty sure we'll move. If you can get
I'd go along with that for sure. Arsenal have been enjoying the sight Sydney has to offer since arriving down under. Here's Petr Cech discussing a city he really enjoys.
Football is growing up in Australia, and it's been since 13 years, so the number of supporters who came to the game was unbelievable, and Arsenal has a great supporters club there, and the fan base. I think is one of those reasons why you go to places like this, because not everybody can come over and to watch games. So if you can reach out on people, your fans all around the world. Obviously, these are the reasons why you do that. Yes, it's a pre-season tour as well, so for us the main part is to train well, to get ready, and it's always nice when you have games to play and you have full stadiums with a lot of support, and it makes it all more enjoyable. Well, when you go with football, you never go to visit places, so you turn up, you play your games, you stay in a hotel, and then you travel somewhere else. But because I was there in a post-season tour, obviously, so it's slightly different. We had a time to visit a few places. So obviously, we went to the Opera House. We went to the zoo with all the koalas and kangaroos, and then obviously we went to do a little bit of sightseeing in a city. So yes, it's true that this time was slightly different. We enjoyed the time there, and obviously we won the game as well, so which was the most important.
Better check there. They get about, don't they, Hughesy, the players on pre-season tours these days? I remember when it was me and you at Trent Park, we didn't see a ball for a week, did we? And then we never really went anywhere glamorous. Would you prefer to do the pre-seasons that we used to do or the current ones?
I would much prefer the current ones. You know, I'd love a day at the zoo. I'd love to go there, a bit of sightseeing. We were too tired, I think. We used to do lots of double sessions, and we were exhausted by the end of it. We didn't have time to sightsee.
Arsene Wenger will still work the players hard, though. What we don't see in these pre-season friendlies is the fact that they've done double sessions, that they're probably going into these games feeling a little bit heavy-legged as well.
Yeah, there will be. There'll be some serious business going on as well behind the scenes. We just see the glamorous side of it. And obviously the game's at the end of it, but we go there with a purpose. We want to win again tonight and play well.
Yeah, it was 2-0 the other night against Sydney FC. Could easily have been 6, really, but for the goalkeeper Redmayne, who had an absolute blinder. I guess the standard of opposition isn't brilliant in terms of today's opponents. That's what Arsene Wenger wants, isn't it?
Yeah, and it always happens that way. You know, early on in pre-season, you don't want the standard to be too high. You slowly get back into it. He integrates a lot of youngsters and just tries to get everyone match fit and go into the season, everyone injury-free. Yeah,
absolutely. Really, really looking forward to this one. Let's hope several more Arsenal players produce standout performances. It is time for match number 2 of Arsenal's pre-season tour with live coverage of the Gunners against Western Sydney Wanderers. Here are your match commentators, Russ Hargreaves and David Hillier.
Well, after a 2-0 victory against Sydney FC, the Gunners' second match of pre-season sees them face Western Sydney Wanderers, again in front of a near-capacity crowd of an expected 80,000 at the ANZ Stadium. Well, fans will be hoping to see plenty more from new striker Alexandre Lacazette, who of course scored in his first appearance for the club off the bench last time out. The Frenchman now makes his first start as manager Arsene Wenger rings the changes and utilises his squad with further games to come in China against Bayern Munich and then against Chelsea. Well, match commentator Russell Hargreaves alongside the former Arsenal midfielder David Hillier. David, looking forward to this one and some really interesting names on show.
Yeah, good evening, Russ. Yeah, looking forward to this game. I was fortunate enough to see the game against Sydney. I thought it was a great first pre-season showing by the team. A few youngsters mixed among the experience and really played well. Looking for much more of the same tonight.
Fantastic atmosphere in this tour, very much well received by crowds down under. Arsenal fans there as well, but great opportunity for both of these Sydney franchises to take on one of the best teams in Europe.
Yeah, and I think it's great that they're playing in this stadium. If they played at their own stadiums, you know, they wouldn't get nowhere near as many fans in, but it really does showcase both the teams and you know propels Arsenal, I think, to the front of teams that have gone to Australia recently on tours. Arsenal is certainly making an impact.
Certainly is one of the great opportunities to play down in Australia. Arsenal and manager Arsene Wenger making a full 11 changes to the team that beat Sydney FC 2-0 last time out. As you can see, a whole host of new faces, including Lacazette starting from the start alongside Olivier Giroud, a very potent looking strike force. Plenty of star talent there, and one or two youngsters hoping to again make an impression, including Ainsley Maitland-Niles. And among the substitutes bench, all 11 players who started the first game all dropped down among the replacements. Take a look at Western Sydney Wanderers under their manager and former Australian international Tony Popovic. A couple of new signings. This, of course, their pre-season as well. Josh Risdon wearing 4 and Rolly Onavasha wearing 8 are a couple of new additions to the Wanderers squad. A team that finished just 6th in the A-League last season, well below expectations after a few fine seasons before that. Among the replacements, Oriol Riera, the Spaniard, is the club's new marquee signing. 2 more new faces, Michael Thwaite and Mark Tokic, just 17 years old, could well feature later in this match. Wenger, looking nice and suntanned and relaxed, feel like your good self.
Well, thank you very much, Russ. Yeah, I think he'll be happy now that he's got his contract woes out of the way. You know, he can really focus on the team, where the focus should be. And yeah, I agree, he looks happy and relaxed, but I think pre-season's going well for him. Most of the squad is fit, very few injuries amongst the team. So yeah, everything going well at the moment, and I think a nice progression through these pre-season friendlies into the Emirates Cup, and then obviously the Community Shield. I think it's a perfect run into the start of the Premier League.
Looking at that Arsenal lineup, it's going to be fascinating to see how Arsene Wenger actually shapes this team, because there are various options about where you can play quite a few of these players. If you go with the 3 at the back, kind of 4 in midfield and 1 supporting 2 up front, you could slot quite a few different options in here.
Yeah, they're so interchangeable. I mean, we saw Elneny come on and play at the back against Sydney. So, yeah, options, lots of them today. And I think just wherever they play, it's about fitness, sharpness, and just getting a feel for the ball and getting this man, Lacazette, involved in the game.
Yeah, talking of sharpness, Lacazette with a very clinical finish first up, and he and Olivier Giroud playing up top together with one maybe just behind the other. This is going to be a great thing to watch, isn't it?
Yeah, very interesting, and well, let's hope the 3 at the back works again for Arsenal if that's what they go with.
Olivier Giroud, full of intent. Questions about his first-team future with the signing of his fellow Frenchman, Alexandre Lacazette. Western Sydney Wanderers who get us underway at the ANZ Stadium. Yeah, early idea of how this formation is slotting in David Hillier for Arsenal.
Yeah, just looking at Elneny, does look like he's gone into the centre of the 3 at the back there.
It would appear as the right wing back, and he's straight into the fray. He run from the Ox. Quite what was desired, but really intense. Still quick to win the ball back as well through Aaron Ramsey.
Yeah, good first break down the right-hand side. We saw a lot of action against Sydney down the right-hand side with young Reece Nelson, who had a great game. Ox has started just in the same fashion down this side. Seems to be a very competitive side of the pitch for Arsenal at the moment as regards to who plays there.
So it looks as though young Ainsley Maitland-Niles, just 19 years old, is playing as the left wing back as he picks up the ball, right-footed of course, which is a challenge in itself.
Yeah, it's always a challenge, but I mean it just means that when he comes inside he can play off the front more comfortably.
Niles using that right boot to keep the ball neatly in play.
I think also with Nacho Monreal on the left-hand side, gives them that balance if they do need a left footer on the overlap.
The pass from Koscielny is not out. Kieran Backus, the South African-born player, wearing 15, bringing it forward for Sydney, even though pass left a little to be desired. Ramsey's had a busy and industrious start. Physical football though from the Gunners, who look back sharply. Niles now in a bit more space. 1 or 2 little tricks from the youngster. Oh, beautiful turn. Fantastic football. Lacazette. What a talent this man is. And Arsenal come again. Niles' back heel. Ramsey's effort is deflected. Fantastic football from Alexandre Lacazette there as he bobbed and weaved in the area. Yeah,
it was. We can see him pick the ball up there from Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Great turn, great awareness, but look at the pace to get on that. Checks inside. It's unfortunate there. I think he just puts the ball into the ground slightly, slows it down, but then after that, Aaron Ramsey, a good chance at the far post.
So he left the Western Sydney captain, Rob Cornthwaite, for dust there, did Alexandre Lacazette with that turn. Into passing to get Alex Iwobi involved in the action for the first time, playing as part of the mobile midfielders behind the strike force. Iwobi, a player for me who I wouldn't say needs to re-prove himself, but having shot onto the scene last season and ebbed away from the first 11 at least, will be hoping just to re-cement himself in Arsene Wenger's thinking.
Yeah, he did. He had a really good last pre-season, which catapulted him into the starting lineups right at the start of the season. And yes, he was great, and I agree with you, he did sort of fade a little bit and then he was left out of the side, so he needs to regain that kind of form. But he is a creator, and it can be, I wouldn't say easy for him, but these games are a good opportunity for him to get 1, 2, 3 assists, maybe a couple of goals himself, to put him back in contention of a regular place in the season.
We certainly saw how well the likes of Reece Nelson and Cohen Bramall played in that victory against Sydney FC a couple of days ago. Maybe a more experienced figure than that will be keen to impress, as will this man. Super run from Ainsley Maitland-Niles, brought to earth and hoping for the free kick, but probably hoping against hope, I think, there, David.
Yeah, I think if he hadn't knocked the ball so far, maybe he would have had a chance of getting on it, and he may have got the decision from the referee. But, you know, the confidence of these young players to run at people, we saw it against Sydney, as you mentioned, with Bramall, Willock and Nelson all doing that, and I'm pleased that these lads are coming into the side with that amount of confidence. It shows that they're integrating with the team well, and there's a lot of young, bright futures at the club.
Joe Monreal, one of the steady veteran heads, slows things down. A bit of pressure from the Western Sydney strikers. Abraham Mayok, the young Kenyan among them, wearing 49, who just tried to put Monreal, now Koscielny, under a little bit of pressure. Again, the back three calmly put the ball around and do their best to formulate another attack. Forward. Giroud just straying marginally offside. Holds out a plaintive hand.
Yeah, I think he's just come from behind the defender to receive the ball in front, which is what you should do. You make your space first and then come into it. He just came into it a little bit early.
The atmosphere, as you can see, some of the home fans, the away support, all getting stuck in. Hamill all over the top. Jasmina has to react too quickly. Kempei Kusakami, the Japanese, was the man king with intent, wearing 14, but he read the danger well. Very busy early in this game. Got the slightly fortuitous ricochet. The decent delivery. Really, really good ball in there from Alex Iwobi. Right into that dangerous area just on the edge of the 6-yard box.
Yeah, that's right, Russ. The second 6-yard box, we used to call that one. So if you can hit that area, Iwobi looks up there, keeps it nice and low as well. Like I said, just couldn't get across the front of that near post. But really, if you've got someone coming around the back as well, they could be cleaning that up.
One of Josh Risden's first actions in a Western Sydney Wanderers shirt is to give away this corner. Clay Chamberlain is going to bend in right-footed. Let's do this time. Good bit of backtracking there from Western Sydney, who stuck to their men well.
Yeah, I think that's going to be pretty much pattern of the game. They're going to have to get back, block holes, stay tight with their runners. I mean, they're playing a 4-4-2, so it's going to be more difficult against the Arsenal system, you know, just because of the extra player that Arsenal have in the midfield. But they're going to get through a lot of work closing down, so it's important when they get the ball, times like this, they keep possession and, you know, get set well to try and make attacks. But you can see a lot of Arsenal possession in this game.
Arsenal did fritter possession away a couple of moments ago. Ramsey dispossessed by the youngster Abraham Mayok, but in the end, Gunners win it back. Major dramas. Ali Bonifacia, the former Netherlands under-19 international and Ajax youth product, wearing 8, is getting himself a little bit more heavily involved in the game. A defensive midfield, but appears to be playing in a slightly more advanced role tonight behind Kusakami and aforementioned Mayok. That's going to be a trio, I think, that could keep Arsenal's rearguard busy. Zet just a bit too much as he tries to beat Jack Clisby. Good hunger from Lacazette there, even if he did give away the foul. He wanted to win that ball back, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it was just, he just knocked the ball again, just 1 yard too far. Didn't have quite the pace to get on it, but yeah, showed good intent to try and win the ball back, and unfortunately just gave the foul away there. But he's looking pretty sharp. I'm impressed. I like the way he goes long, comes short, and he's got that real burst of dynamic speed, which I think just along that front line will really help Arsenal out this season.
Risky ball forward. Wanderers in the end up paying the price as Jacob Melling is dispossessed. Ramsey ended in blatant terms there by Melling. Well, Melbourne City man was sold a bit of a dud pass there, wasn't he? And ended up paying the price.
Yeah, he got forced into a corner, didn't he? Didn't really have an outlet, and Arsenal just picked the ball off him. Good run by Ramsey, draws the foul very well, waits until Melling commits to the challenge, just lifts it over him.
Stephen Lustica, the former Hajduk Split man, is among those on the wall. Western Sydney alongside Kusakami, the Japanese. And Chamberlain will try and put that ball in around the two Western Sydney players. Plenty of red and white shirts lurking with intent. This time shot was sweetly struck from Monreal, smacked into the face of Clisby. Lovely turn. Excellent work from Oxlade-Chamberlain. That's a better ball to Giroud. Let's try one of those scorpion kicks like he scored from late last season.
I was just going to suggest that because after Per Mertesack's almost overhead kick in the first game against Sydney, yeah, that would have been a delight. Good work from the Oxy, a great fake, chops him off to the left and picks out Giroud there coming in round about the penalty spot, but you know, just couldn't get over it. But the Ox carving out a good opportunity there.
Oxlade-Chamberlain has certainly caught my eye in this game so far with a very promising start, and we hope he will continue to shine in Arsenal colours for a long time to come, and a really strong foundation could mean a huge amount for him, I feel, moving forward this season of all seasons.
Yeah, there's been a lot of expectation, I think, for the last probably 3 or 4 seasons that it's going to be his season, and then speculation, is he a wide player or more inside midfield? And I think, you know, he's still so young. He seems to have been around forever. He's still so young, he can still find that, but at the moment it's important he just gets in that team and does what he does best.
Lovely interplay between Iwobi and Maitland-Niles, and a return pass from Iwobi just didn't quite find his Gunners teammate. You see a couple of stars of B-League 2, and before that the under-23s really starring, because just the treadmill of talent and some of the produce that Arsenal's leader ranks have been bringing forward. See, as David Hillier mentioned earlier in this commentary, a few of them getting their chance. First team stage in this pre-season tour. Australasia and of course the Far East. Melling to Bacchus. In rather ambitious pass to try and find Bonavacia. Excellent play from Iwobi there, who, if the ball had fallen just a little more kindly, would have been bearing down on goal, but great reading of the game and great hunger there from Alex Iwobi. Trademark attributes that we certainly expect him to show. Yeah,
he just didn't have the pace to get up with Hamill there, did he, and get on the end of that pass, but showed good intent again to make the run, get forward.
Well, Sholny again sold his man El Neni a little short. Hamid El Neni, back 3 tonight. A very decent job under pressure. Obi bursting forward again. He's full of hunger, isn't he? Beats one player, can't quite beat the second. Solid challenge this time from Josh Risdon. Signed for the club from Perth Glory. It's on the other side of Australia. Time Stephen Lustica's break comes to nothing.
That was actually really good defending there. The 3 defenders came nice and tight and narrow and blocked all of the space in the middle as the Wanderers attacked down the centre of the pitch. And you know, they haven't even really got to make a challenge. They're just forcing the pass, and they're picking it up as an interception. We've seen El Neni on the ball several times, still hasn't had to make a tackle yet, and that's really good play.
And that's an example, isn't it, of the back 3, when used correctly, really working and squeezing and stifling the opposition.
Yeah, definitely, and it also means that you can have ball players in there and not necessarily just stoppers.
Not seen much of Granit Xhaka in this game so far, but he strikes a nice little trademark arm pass out to the right-hand side, and the winner throw in a decent part of the field as a result. Xhaka has just kind of stepped back and watched things unfold before him so far, but hopefully that means a devastating contribution to come.
Well, hopefully, but I think he quietly goes about his business anyway. All last season, you know, he was one of he had the highest pass rates in the team, you know, regularly, game in, game out, and without actually setting the game on fire. You know, it's about continuity and just keeping the game flowing and taking up the right positions, and I think he's doing that tonight. It's just that Aaron Ramsey seems to be the man who's going into the space, picking the ball up for the space that Xhaka has created.
Here is Xhaka again, becoming increasingly involved. Left-footed pass this time. He's on both sides for Ramsey. Finds Maitland-Niles, another good delivery. Keeper and centre-half almost getting each other's way. Hamill and Janjenovic, the Russian-born goalkeeper, about did enough in the end.
Did well to hold on to it, Janjenovic, because he had Arsenal players bearing down on him. You know, and it's really important that get them two hands on it and hold on, because Giroud was sniffing right around him, and that would have been Arsenal's first goal of the night.
Vedran Janjenovic signed from rival Sydney FC, so well known to quite a few of the players who played on Thursday evening. Australia's biggest city.
Sydney's goalkeeper Andrew Redmayne, he was well, he was their star player really on the night on Thursday. He made countless saves, and it was ironic really, because he did come to Arsenal for a trial as well, and he missed out because they signed Szczesny.
Dynamic of global football these days, of geography being no barrier as players get their opportunities. A real international feel to this pre-season tour, and exciting new horizons for Arsenal to explore. Can this man Iwobi make the most of those? To Maitland-Niles, this combination has worked well so far this evening. The ball through again from Maitland-Niles, looking for Iwobi, and Ridston didn't initially know where the ball was before finding it behind him and hacking it to safety. Really stretching their opponents now. Back to the right-hand side. Ball from Xhaka to Hazard, who just lost the ball under his feet initially, but still manages to win the corner.
Yeah, I think he was just trying to cut that ball back for Olivier Giroud. As you mentioned there, they are getting stretched, Sydney Wanderers. They're getting wider and wider, but they're having to work so hard. They can shuffle over to the right. The midfield are all coming over to support the one that's going to engage the player. It's going to be hard work for them to do that for another 75 minutes. So I think Arsenal will slowly grind them down.
Swinging corner from the other side, and Xhaka's delivery is easily read by Janjenovic in the end. And in the air by Koscielny. Ramsey does extremely well there. Wins the free kick in addition. Ramsey certainly has been very busy, playing ostensibly as one of the two in front of the back three, but he's surging forward, left, right and everywhere, isn't he?
Yeah, I think watching him Thursday, I was thinking he looks like he's prepared well again, as he did 3 and 4 seasons ago when he had that great season after his horrific injury. He looks like in that kind of shape physically. Whether he's, you know, as you age, you kind of can lose a yard, whether that will make any difference to him, I'm not sure, but he's certainly on the ball, looking sharp and looking like he's, you know, going to make a real big push to have a regular place in this team, because I think he's missed out on in the past seasons, you know, not fulfilling his full potential.
He's always been playing slight catch-up, hasn't he? And it's very hard to shine at your very best if you're starting 5–10% behind everybody else. I agree. We work from Iwobi to Oxlade-Chamberlain. This is a better cross. Defender doesn't get there. Oh, Lacazette appeals for handball. Western Sydney defence with 6s and 7s, and Lacazette ghosting in at the far post. Just couldn't quite get the shot away.
Yeah, and I think the appeal for handball was more just because he didn't take that opportunity. I feel that if he'd have come to the ball and hit that possibly first time, it would have been difficult, because it would have been basically on a half volley. But for me, he could have smacked that first time, side foot, bang, straight back in. Good challenge from the defenders though, nice and tight to him. It does pop up and hit a hand, but
that's never going to be deliberate.
It was an outstretched hand from the skipper, but as you say, it was all kind of in his attempts to try and win the ball back. Robert Cornthwaite there, the 31-year-old, an 8-time Australian international back in the day. Important figure for the Australian team tonight, as Arsenal varied their tactics and try one over the top. I haven't seen one of those yet.
Well, no, not in this game. We did see towards the end of last season, though, when the Ox was involved, that became more of a tactic for Arsenal, and it seemed like a deliberate tactic because they wasn't doing that earlier in the season, and it does open the other team up. It pushes them back, it allows space for the midfield to pick up the second ball and drive.
Poor ball from actually both teams in a row. Gave Western Sydney a brief opportunity through Abraham Majok, but the 18-year-old his lines just a tad. Once again, that Arsenal back three after losing the ball, just closed ranks and really squeezed their opponents into giving up the ball. Carl Nenny's slotted into this back three so far. He's done well.
Yeah, he's comfortable. He's almost like playing as a sweeper in line with the other two.
Xhaka slipped as he played that ball, but actually it was absolutely fine, and Iwobi's made something of it. Ramsey, Slade-Chamberlain, he half cleared to Giroud. Oh, opportunity there for Arsenal. Bender could have done better, and Giroud just couldn't quite react to the rebound. Athletic claim from the keeper from his cross, but Giroud this time with a half chance.
Yeah, Arsenal, but they are only half chances, and I will say that Western Sydney are working hard, and they're limiting Arsenal to half chances. There's been nothing really clear, which doesn't disappoint me, but you would have expected it by this stage for Jan Jentovic to have made a really crucial save. But Arsenal are asking questions and probing. I think it's a matter of tiring Western Sydney out, and before the opportunities become a bit more open.
Ramsey just undercooks that pass, and Lisby does well to intercept. Popovic, the Wanderers manager, field the ball and get it back into play. The left-hand side, Niles right-footed. They have a lot of space to work with, particularly as a right-footer. Too badly there, just wondering whether or not he managed to win a corner.
Well, it doesn't look like it. It looks like the ball's going back for a goal kick, but I did think it personally was a corner. It looked like it was a tackle, a challenge that stopped the cross from going over and going out of play. Oh, it is a corner.
Uncertainty between the officials, but hopefully the right decision made. Arsenal certainly happy regardless. Xhaka not swinging delivery in. The most probing again, it has to be said.
Yeah, you've got to say that the deliveries have been a little bit disappointing from dead balls. We've seen good crosses from open play. One recently from Ox across the 6-yard box, but I think from dead ball situations, sometimes for me there's a lack of variety. I think they could take more advantage and set up maybe a few training ground ones and practice them. This is what these games are for. But however, I think the Arsenal philosophy is they will always score through open play.
We do see so much variety through open play these days. The ball over the top, stretching the opposition, sometimes just gunning straight down the middle. But looks like Chamberlain is, for once, struggling, but a beautifully timed interception. Had to get that tackle from behind spot on, and he did, to dispossess Kieran Bacchus. Former Le Mans man fancied his chances bearing down on goal there, but City do get it back as Arsenal. A slightly sloppy passage of play, it's got to be said. This is more like it from the Australian team. Here's the youngster, Majok. Well done. Work from Monreal. Arsenal can't get it clear though. They do so. A combination of Giroud and Lacazette, the strikers back helping out. Bina showing, I guess you could say, good confidence there with the ball at his feet, with two opponents snarling their teeth a couple of feet away.
Yeah, it's something I think you might take a chance at in a pre-season game against Western Sydney, but 4 weeks into the season, when you're playing someone like Chelsea or Manchester United, or even one of the lesser teams in the Premier League, 2v1 situation with a goalkeeper, that's got to go in the stand.
Player down injured is Olivier Giroud. Portugal just tapping the ball out of play in case the Frenchman needed treatment, but he shakes off the advances of those who come to assist him, and he's absolutely fine. Looks like a minor clash with Rob Cornthwaite, the Western skipper. There we go.
He's not really happy with it. He wasn't going to receive the ball, and the defenders just give him a shove in the back. You see his disdain when he stood up from the ground. He didn't want to shake hands or anything with the player.
Bit of pre-season needle.
I think sometimes as well, these games out here, they're good because they don't have too much of that pre-season needle. If you've done maybe a European one, they might be a bit more snappy in the tackle, shall we say. Just as one goes in.
Was not so good, and Alex Iwobi has been caught. Just tapped the ball past Clisby. Slipped. I think because he'd slipped, he was off balance, which meant he was caught, all the worse, just there.
Yeah, it looks like his right leg, doesn't it? It's just took a hit into the top of it.
He is okay, Alex Iwobi. Just noticing on this near side as well, so 2 matches in quick succession, the ANZ Stadium turf is starting to cut up quite badly, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, compared to pitches I used to play on, Ross, that's still a dream.
Lovely ball in, and that was the first real genuine chance for Arsenal. Much better dead ball delivery. Olivier Giroud rising highest, got it on target, but straight at the keeper, and would have hoped for far better.
Yeah, definitely. See, that makes the difference. It's all about the delivery. For me, Giroud's got to do a lot better than that. He's just trying to glance it down into the ground when he's got an opportunity of really banging that into the back of the net. But it was a great delivery, the first one.
Will this kick Arsenal into life, I wonder? The ball from Maitland-Niles, who didn't really look before passing and put it away, and was lucky actually to see the ball fall back into red and white.
Still goes on. He's left a bit on him a couple of times since the last one, and Giroud's not happy. He just caught Giroud on the ankle a couple of minutes before when Giroud came and set that play up down the left-hand side, and kind of want to be careful that he needs to protect himself. So we don't want too many kicks in the back of the ankles this early on.
Cornthwaite is one of a couple of the more experienced players in what is, on the whole, a pretty young Western Sydney Wanderers squad. Just imparting a bit of that experience by just reminding the lofty opposition that they're not going to give up this game without a little bit of a fight.
Yeah, I think that's how you lead teams, don't you? You know, he's one of the more experienced.
And Niles has got a chance to potentially run at his opposite number, but Josh Risdon does well there, stays on his feet and gets there ahead of Lacazette as well. Excellent work from Josh Risdon. First pre-season with the club. Again, a nice moment from Mohamed El-Neni, slotting into the back three rather than his more accustomed position of defensive midfield, the Egyptian. El-Neni again, confidence to all his players forward and try and dictate play. Ramsey is onside despite protestations to the contrary. Just looking for that killer pass, players calling for it on both sides of the field, but static and having to attack from that sedentary position, it's hard to get the injection of pace.
Yeah, it's kind of like they're almost getting drawn right into the width of the penalty box and not having that width at the end, and it's playing right into Western Sydney's hands really, because they got 7-8 players back all the way across the line, across the edge of the 18-yard box. It's very difficult to break down.
Pass from Ramsey, looking for Giroud. This time Oxlade-Chamberlain is beaten to the ball. Thumping challenge though on Mustafa. A little bit of needle as Xhaka's involved with Jacob Melling, who lashes out. Jacob Melling's not happy.
He's not happy. Emotions are getting a little bit too high there. flung an arm out there at Xhaka, and Xhaka was just trying to be quite friendly, I think. I think he was trying to be respectful.
Welling in his second season with Western Sydney from Melbourne City, and it all started with this forceful but well-timed challenge from Laurent Koscielny, didn't it?
It's a very well-timed tackle, and Xhaka, look, he's just gone into Paul Melling away from the situation, lashed out a little bit with his arm. I think in a league game that could warrant some action from the referee, but I think in a friendly it's best to keep it nice and low-key. As I said, I don't want to get carried away with bad tackles in this game. It's about getting two teams through a game uninjured.
You say a friendly, it's not awfully friendly at the moment.
It's not as friendly as Thursday's game, that's for sure.
Probably a good day for Arsenal to have a couple of games of slightly different character and different disposition. See, reaching the half-hour mark, break the deadlock. Here's Majok. Heels for a corner. Bastia, who's had a quiet last 15 or 20 minutes, getting involved. Man who, like Daniel Marlon, came through the Dutch under-19 and Ajax youth system. A bit of football there, and Ramsey, who's got it half clear. It's Bacchus, the South African-born midfielder. Sydney growing in confidence a little bit as Palmy tries something a little bit too clever, and the Japanese's misplaced trickery could maybe Western Sydney. Backer upended. Just in that slightly bobbly area of the pitch as well.
Yeah, he was didn't have any options on for a pass either, so he done really well. He had a look left and right of him, saw he was being closed down by both the Western Sydney players and decided to turn between them, knowing possibly that he'd get a little touch and he'd be able to go down and draw the foul.
Professionalism from Granit Xhaka. Fans, of course, hoping for plenty from the Swiss in this his second season with the club since that big signing just over a year ago from Borussia Mönchengladbach. Able with a lovely little deft touch with the outside of his right boot. Couldn't quite find Xhaka, but the throw. Arsenal happy to build from the back through this makeshift back three of Galni, El Neni and Real, which has worked pretty well so far.
It's interesting, Russ, because in the game Thursday we had three young players playing, and they seem to drive the game forward for me with their enthusiasm.
Break off for a moment, lovely 1-2. Monreal to Giroud, and that's a wonderful finish from Olivier Giroud. Had a tiny bit of the goal to aim at, not much room to work with, and Olivier Giroud pushes his first team credentials for the season to come with his first of pre-season. It's a belting goal from the Frenchman. Arsenal 1, Western Sydney Wanderers 0.
Yeah, it's a good run from Nacho. He just a 1-2 off of Lacazette, picks Giroud out, and he just lifts it into that near post area. It was a good time to cut me off there, Russ, as well, because it is our first real penetration down outside where we've had a clean chance and we've dispatched it well. Giroud gets off the mark.
Wenger impressed with what he's seen, and this is just what Arsenal need. It's competition for places. Giroud pushed on by Lacazette, getting his opportunity, scoring a goal. We'll see if Lacazette now responds.
Yeah, and it's the fact that they was both involved in that goal. It was like a partnership. One came short, laid the ball in for the attacking wide man to feed the front man, and then Giroud spinning in already, picks it up at the near post. It's you know, it's a partnership forming.
Promising signs. The other side of the world, but potential combination that could ring true back on UK shores for the season to come, and we'll wait and see. Arsenal are ahead. Giroud. There's Lacazette having helped make that goal, buzzing around. Scorer Giroud does well, beats his man, and all down. Happy now he scored a goal, isn't he?
Yeah, it was good. He got the ball nice here, Mellin really tight to him, and he just tickles it through his legs, gets it on the other side, Mellin pulls him down. So yeah, growing in confidence now, that'll settle him down, Giroud. You know, he has been getting kicked about for this first 34 minutes of the game, but he's got his reward for that by getting the goal.
Oh, Xhaka just overcooked the pass. It was a good idea because the defender Riston had just turned his back, and Lacazette was about to bear down on the edge of the 15-yard box, but just slightly overhit. The Frenchman control it. Response, I wonder, from the Wanderers. Lovely through ball, takes a slight ricochet, but Lisby against Oxlade-Chamberlain delivers an early ball. Real timed his interception very well indeed, in between the two advancing strikers for Western Sydney. Showed every inch of his experience. The interception. Nearly as well there. Could have been bamboozled into giving away a silly penalty, but didn't do so.
Yeah, he could have very easily, but he just stands his ground, you know, and he still hasn't really had to make a tackle. He's just a force to defend. He's had a little nibble there, but it's certainly not brought the player down.
Tiny bit of contact though, and we know that is a slightly grey area in the letter of the law, isn't it? Anyway, Arsenal, bashed by that, come forward through Giroud, the goal scorer. Tugged every which way by two Western Sydney defenders, and fortunately gets nothing for his endeavours there.
Yeah, and I think that's quite a wry smile, isn't it? He was turning left and right and getting nibbled at here, nibbled at there. You know, and he's looked quite strong, does want to stay on his feet. Another go at him there.
A pair of piranhas nibbling away at him.
Yeah, nowhere to go, no support, but still working hard as ever.
Back to that opportunity at the other end, we have seen, haven't we, people go down almost ridiculously, but if there is any form of contact, it does open up that potential grey channel.
Yeah, and by the letter of the law, you don't even have to have contact. If you go to make a challenge and it makes the player, you know, make a movement he wouldn't normally do to avoid it, that will still be given against you, as probably like a reckless challenge or something like that. But it's unfortunate that is in the game. I would like to see that there has to be definite, strong contact. You know, you've got to put a player down, because I think that opens up the area for players to manipulate and play that.
No, yellow cards can be now the punishment for those who go down. I agree with David. Now Iwobi tries to almost force the issue there and does give the ball away, but no harm done. Lovely ball over the top from Monreal. That's fantastic football to Ramsey. Oh, what a goal from Arsenal! Route one, but that variety of the Gunners' attack really pays dividends. Brilliant ball over the top from the veteran Spaniard. Ramsey onto it in a flash. Cool, calm head. The composure to slide it home. Arsenal 2, Western Sydney Wanderers 0.
Yeah, it's kind of a straight ball from Nacho, but Ramsey's been making those runs all half. He's been trying. No one's took the chance on him, but it is a fantastic ball from Nacho. Just holds up really nicely, bounces 2 foot in the air, and he takes it lovely. Left foot, just lifts it over Janjetovic. There's nothing he can do in the goals. It's a really good finish.
He did his best there. Cool, calm, calculated, and one deft left-footed touch, and bang, the leader's doubled.
Yeah, you said earlier on he's getting around the pitch, isn't he? He looked hungry, he's been getting everywhere, and the thing is, if you don't buy a ticket, you don't win a prize, and he's bought a few tickets already this first half, and now he's got his prize.
It's an analogy. And Arsenal get a third before the break. Iwobi cuts inside one defender in the form of Clisby, but then can't beat Bacchus. All that the Wanderers can do is see another throw in a dangerous position. Fans in voice. Elneny. Goal scorer back to Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. He hurried that cross. Maybe puts the ball down but can't quite control it. Okay, it's a big pre-season for Western Sydney. Won the A-League title in their first year in existence as the new franchise in 2012, won the Asian Champions League in 2014. No other grand final appearances, but only 6th in the A-League last season, David, and knocked out on penalties by Brisbane Roar in the first round of the playoffs. So it's the first real season that Tony Popovic didn't succeed, and it's actually a big season for them to try and bounce back.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can see the quality isn't quite what it was against Sydney, who finished first in the A-League, and I think they're trying to do it more from a physical point of view, and they're trying to rush and hurry and tackle, and they're playing that kind of game, and that's what's letting them down, because you can only do it for so long, and against a side like Arsenal they will pick you apart, and they're being very patient in doing that.
Oshielny stretching. Job done. Interception from Monreal. Again, it's that man Ramsey. Iwobi and Lacazette exchanging passes, and Iwobi was just nibbled at by Josh Riston, and what was a delightful flowing move was brought to a premature end, but at least they did win the free kick.
Yeah, very, very tight area, wasn't it? 5 metres, little touches and one-touch passes. Iwobi gets away, breaks free, fouled again. But that is a feature of his game. He's got such quick feet. You know, he's a big, strong boy, but he's got lovely quick feet.
Back heel from Ramsey, and frustratingly, referee Jared Gillette got in the way. That's why Arsenal ended up surrendering possession. Turn from Onavasia. Brings it forward, looking for the eager running Japanese Junpei Kusakami. Kami's kind of faded as the half has gone on. Miles' right foot looks for Xhaka. It's another throw. Niles into Lacazette, who fancies getting involved in the action, to Giroud. Held the ball up well and turned, fired it on goal. Not either side of the keeper, that could have been number 3. I think forward play there from Giroud again.
Yeah, Lacazette to Giroud. I mean, as we said earlier, they was involved in the goal, involved again here. It's good that he's looking for his centre-forward partner, his teammate. Giroud does well, shrouded by the Western Sydney players, still manages to get a shot off.
The squad can only be so big, but depending who is here for Arsenal for the start of the season proper, there could be some very exciting attacking options, couldn't there? We'll talk about that in a moment at the end of this attack. Play Chamberlain, Iwobi, have a little dummy this time from Ramsey, that worked well. Real to Maitland-Niles, just an example there of the right footer trying to play on the left, had to try and take it with his weaker foot.
Yeah, he did that, and you know, when he came on against Sydney, he looked really comfortable, but he made 1 or 2 decisions, simple decisions from my point of view. There, maybe he should have just checked back. It's on his left foot, it's coming in, like the pitch is tiny bit bobbly, as you've mentioned, might not be a clean contact, just keep the ball, keep some continuity, but he tried something, you know, it didn't pay off, and those things, when everybody else is playing so well, can stand out.
Excellent striking play from Giroud again. Dispossesses his man. Still going, Giroud. Appeals for a penalty. And Hamill it was who came back. Onavasia, the player who gave it away to Giroud. O'Reilly's spile as Hamill charging back, and his arms were tucked into his chest. Let's take another look. I think ball to hand there.
Yeah, ball to hand. You know, when players pull the hand down by their side, you can't really give anything. He's showing the referee that he doesn't want to put his hand near it.
Bending in the end. Ramsey screaming for the ball. Instead, it's into Iwobi, who holds it up well. El-Neni from distance takes a deflection, and it is number 3, Mohamed El-Neni, gets it on the act. He's had a cracking half, the young Egyptian. A howitzer from distance, big deflection. Keeper with no chance, and Arsenal hit 3 before half-time. Arsenal 3, Western Sydney Wanderers 0.
Yeah, it's a good strike from Elneny. You know, he's sweeping up around the edge of the box. Iwobi don't quite get it right, and he just sets him. Yes, it takes the deflection, a big deflection from Brendan Hamill, it looks like. And he's just as happy with that, though. I think it's on target, so he probably will get given the goal. Good finish.
Just going to say exactly that. I think it's on target. That was a good camera angle. It was in and around that left post area, wasn't it? So you would hope that, particularly in pre-season, that is given to the player, but it's close.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate for Hamill, but I'm delighted for Elneny. I don't think you'll see a bigger smile tonight.
Having been held for the first half an hour of the game, Arsenal burst into life, and their first goal has really led to the proverbial floodgates opening. 2 in the entire of their opener against Sydney FC at the ANZ Stadium, and 3 in the first half against Western Sydney. Try and finish the half strongly themselves. Crispy to Melling. Onick jeers for a desperate shot from distance from Melling.
Does well Melling to get away from Ramsey there, takes his first touch inside, just goes across Ramsey here. Good touch, good pace, just can't keep his head down. He balloons it over the top.
I think it did take a little bobble, which didn't help, but his options were limited. Looks like Chamberlain is rampaging forward, hoping to maybe latch onto a Koscielny long ball. Instead, North's captain goes in field. Xhaka, though, does go for the long ball. Fantastic touch from Oxlade-Chamberlain. This is brilliant football. Iwobi's got options, one of which is Giroud. Oh, couldn't quite get the shot away. Can Xhaka, can Lacazette. Giroud again. Players queuing up on the edge of the box. No number 4. And Sydney just about cling on. Monreal doesn't get a goal to round off what was an excellent half, particularly the final 15 minutes from Arsenal. Olivier Giroud on the score sheet. A well-taken opener. Certainly taken goal as well. Number 2 from Aaron Ramsey from a beautiful ball over the top by Nacho Monreal. Number 3, we're pretty sure will be accredited to Mohamed Elneny. Big deflection off Hamill, the Egyptian, on the act as well. Arsenal really building into their pre-season nicely down under. Western Sydney Wanderers with a huge amount to do in the second half. Arsenal will make changes, I'm sure, but boy, have they set a very, very solid foundation. Half-time, Arsenal 3, Western Sydney Wanderers 0, as we take you back to Adrian Clark and Stephen Hughes in the studio, boys.
Welcome back to Emirates Stadium. 3-0 then to Arsenal at the interval. Pretty comprehensive scoreline, Hughesy. In the last 15 minutes, it all hotted up quite nicely. It was a slow burner of a half, but the last 15 was quality. Yeah,
because we were creating lots of opportunities, and you know, 3 well-took goals. Could have had a couple more actually, but an enjoyable first half for us.
Yeah, it was competitive, wasn't it? I thought Western Sydney Wanderers made a good fist of it, didn't they, early on? Fairly solid, some fairly sturdy challenges going in as well at times, but that's good, isn't it, at this stage of the season?
Well, yeah, I think so, and I think, you know, from their point of view, individually, they want a point to prove. They want Arsenal are in town, want to go and play against them well individually, so no real surprise, it is quite competitive out there. Yes,
no goal from Alexander Lacazette so far today, unlike on his debut the other day, but he's impressed at times, hasn't he?
He had a brilliant opportunity after, I think, 2 minutes, picked the ball up, went past a couple of people, and then keeper saved with his left-hand side, I think. But he's looked sharp. You know, he's joined up with Olivier Giroud, combined well with Iwobi as well, we thought at times in that first half, but looks nice and sharp.
Yeah, if you look at the team sheet and the way the formation's set up, Alex Lacazette is in theory playing in the Alexis Sanchez position, just to the left, behind Olivier Giroud. But it hasn't stopped him bursting into the box. It hasn't stopped him linking up play inside the final third. At times, he's still played like a centre-forward, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. He's seemed to have drifted naturally more to the centre of the pitch. But I think that happens, you know, especially when you play year after year in a centre-forward position to go. It's a bit alien for him to go to the left-hand side, but he showed good glimpses there.
He certainly did. Let's take another look at all the goals from that first period at the ANZ Stadium. This was a lovely piece of play, wasn't it, from Nacho Monreal?
It was excellent. Great turn of pace going forward. Little 1-2 of Lacazette. And you've got to say that's a fantastic finish, Olivier Giroud. First time, went above the keeper, but great build-up play from Monreal on that left-hand side.
Across the near post, there aren't many better finishers around than Olivier Giroud, are there?
No, he's excellent at it. You see his movement here. He doesn't really move too hard, just gets half a yard on the defender. He knows where the goal is. All he's got to do is get the technique right, which he does. 1-0.
One assist from Nacho Monreal. Here comes assist number 2. That's a beauty, isn't it?
We were talking about it, watching the game. That's a fantastic ball. It really is. He just sits up nice, one bounce. So Aaron Ramsey hasn't got to think about anything else, just lobbing it over the keeper. It's a great run for him. Just goes past Olivier Giroud, which you want to see from Aaron Ramsey in that central role. But a brilliant ball over the top here.
Aaron Ramsey's game is based on forward runs, isn't it? And this is what we want to see from him throughout the campaign, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he's going to be a little bit disappointed last season about the goals he scored, because he's got that ability, he can time his runs really well. And if he gets service like this where he can run past the centre forward, he's a real danger. He really is. He times his run really well. And it's a comfortable finish.
That's a tidy little finish, isn't it, with his left foot. Here's the third one, Mohamed El Neni. Doesn't get too many, certainly not from centre-back. I think we have to say this one was slightly fortuitous.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was. It wasn't the cleanest of strike for him. Set well from Alex Iwobi. He was bright in that first half. And it's a big deflection off the right foot, the centre half there. I'm not overly sure. It's probably creeping in the corner as we see it here. Might just be creeping in the corner, but he doesn't care anyway.
No, Mohamed El Neni will be well happy with that third goal. Arsene Wenger made 10 changes to his outfield players after about 67 minutes the other day. Do you think that's what we'll see again tonight, or this morning rather, or do you feel that there'll be a raft of half-time changes now that they're 3-0 to the good?
No, I think he'll probably do the same. I think he'll probably do the same as he did in the first game. He'll want to give everyone a complete run out in this game, I'm sure, and looking forward to seeing some of them other players.
Yes, so far so good for the Gunners. Right, let's step away from today's action for a moment or two now and check out just one of the many global projects Arsenal get involved in. This is a piece on our Emirates Soccer School.
High five. Ooh, strong one. High five.
No.
Woo!
Some power on that one, Harry.
What are we doing today?
Just going into the game time now.
5v5.
Yeah, 5v5.
Nice.
Ready to rumble here?
Help him, help. Yes. Play here. Oh, good shot, good shot.
No, yeah, it's been brilliant to see that. A little bit of our knowledge with them kids. Well done.
Well done.
I started off playing when I was about 7, 8, so yeah, I think the kids out there today were about that age. So yeah, I was in a similar position to them, playing on them small little pitches and taking in all the information from the coaches at that time. But yeah, it was a bit of fun, yeah.
Straight out, guys. Ooh. All right, orange ball from behind the goal.
I'm going to go for red team today.
I think I'm gonna...
No, I'm going for oranges. Going for oranges.
Here we go.
Nice feet. Pass it. Oh, unlucky. It's a counter-attack. He's got two tonight. You're getting a hat-trick. Are you going for the hat-trick?
Let's go, let's play.
When you see kids play football, I can't wait for my boys to be playing as well, and that's just fantastic to see. They're encouraging really young to play with both feet as well, which I noticed out there, and they keep on going. They're non-stop, which is great. They're really good to see. Oh no, I kicked it out. I didn't mean to kick that one out. They were trying to nutmeg me, yes, the very little ones, bless them. Nearly got me. But I think that's the thing at this moment. A lot of kids always believe, I want to get a nutmeg in there. But no, it was fun, and I told the kids, it's all about enjoying playing football. You don't want to put loads of pressure on yourselves. Just go out there and enjoy playing with your friends. Like I say, I play these guys every day, and it's great. And it's just something about when you play on the park with your mates. It brings the best out of you, I think. Too quick for me, these guys. I'm going to come for this one. Oh! Got it! Nice.
football is about enjoyment and expressing yourself and bringing people together. And that's what it's all about, really.
Good work, good work. Good work.
Cheers, guys. Lovely to meet you all. Great. Fantastic.
Nice to see, isn't it, the Arsenal players mucking in and joining in with the kids' training sessions at the Emirates Soccer School. Did you used to enjoy doing that kind of community stuff? Because a lot of the fans don't get to see what footballers do. It's not go training, go home every single day, is it? You do various bits and pieces throughout the summer and the season.
Yeah, a lot of clubs have football in the community and bits and pieces going on, and we used to enjoy it. It was especially when you used to do some stuff with the kids, go and do some training. The lads looked like they thoroughly enjoyed that day.
No, it certainly did. Do you think the players that were involved in that first half over in Sydney will have enjoyed themselves?
I think so. Yeah, it was. It's all about, as we said, another thing about pre-season is bonding. It's team bonding. They go to Australia. You know, a couple of new signings and you know, you live in each other's pockets, so you get that morale and team bonding.
How important is that? Because what we see on the pitch is all fine and dandy, but off the pitch, spending a condensed period of time together as a group, how does it set you up for that season ahead, spirit-wise?
I think it's vitally important. I really do. I think, you know, you have tough times throughout any season. Every club does. And that's when you need the morale and the bonding that you get, and you get it in tours when you spend these times. You go away from home an awful lot, and this is where you get the morale in.
Yeah, these are important days. Now, I thought Arsene Wenger's men looked great in their new third kit on Thursday morning. Here's a behind-the-scenes feature on where and how they launched the strip.
I like the away kit. I like especially the color. It will be stand out on the pitch, and of course the fans will love it.
I really like the colors. I think they're very modern colors. The blues blend in really nice with each other, and I think it's very bright, and we're really going to stand out on the pitch.
Really like it, actually. Little crests, you know, they may look like little dots, but actually not. Little crests everywhere. There's a little cannon on my neck, which I can't see, but hopefully a lot of defenders will see that. Last season's kits was hard to beat, to be honest. But yeah, this has just gone to a different level, I think. Generally, the whole feel about it all is always great. You want to look smart, you want to look the best, and when you're at a top club like Arsenal, of course, you know, it's the first thing everyone looks at.
I would like to give a big credit to our away fans. They've been amazing, and their support is very important, I mean, for us. And it's definitely our 12 men.
They always support us, even in the game, like 90 minutes. They are loud, they are singing our songs, they support the team, even in the bad times. So we are really thankful that we have such a great fans.
So this is the third shirt, and the idea behind this was to bring home away. So it's 1-for-1, the home shirt, but we put it through a pitch black filter. So everything's toned down and dark. We've used a heather fabrication instead of the unusual body fabric to give it more of a lifestyle touch to it. Kept the contrast sleeves, but put them straight into black. Things like the blurred form stripe with the Arsenal crest are still present. The collar's still the same, it's just recolored. And then we've used a bright plasma to pop out the crest, the cat, the fly Emirates, and all the details. The target consumer for the third jersey was someone who's quite cool, it's a little bit more street. Fashion does play a part, especially with the fabric texture. We use darker colours to tie it in with maybe what they would wear this with. So we look at colour trends, and a lot of people wearing darker colours now, blacks, and accentuating it with another colour. So feedback from the players was very, very positive. They actually love wearing this kit. They're looking forward to playing in this next season.
Nice and street, isn't it, that third kit there for Arsenal? Hughesy, you're that way inclined. You're pretty street yourself. Was that your favourite?
I don't know about that. My favourite is the home one, I think, this year. And I don't know about being street either.
What about of those two that we just saw there? The second strip is the light blue, isn't it? And the third is the black and pink number. What would be your preference?
Probably the away. Probably the second kit, the blue one. I'm not too sure about wearing pink on a football pitch. I don't know whether I'd get too much stick from my mates for that.
Well, they're very tight-fitted as well these days, the shirts, aren't they? I don't think in our current condition we would carry them off particularly well, but the players, of course, do. There was talk there on that video of the away fans and the importance of them. They are always really, really vocal, aren't they, the Arsenal support, wherever you travel away from Emirates Stadium.
Yeah, I always try and go to a couple of away games throughout the season and thoroughly enjoy the away games. I really do. Yeah. You sit there and it's very vocal, and we've got great travelling support. We really have.
What's it like? You've travelled abroad with Arsenal to many different places. What's it like when you get off a plane, you go to the airport, and there's just hundreds, thousands of people there waiting for you everywhere you go? It's a strange sensation, isn't it? Yeah,
it is, and you're not sure what you're going to get. I'm sure a few of the lads, as I said, have been to Sydney before. This tour here, but I'm sure they're overwhelmed with the support they've got out there. It's quite incredible wherever we go. Yeah, absolutely. And another huge crowd at the ANZ Stadium this morning. Fabulous atmosphere as well. It's a great experience, and I expect a number of the younger players to get another taste of that in this second half. Who are you looking forward to seeing? Reece Nelson. Everyone was spoken about in the first game. Obviously, Willock as well. We spoke about before the game. Hopefully, we get to see them at one period of this game because they played ever so well.
They were superb, weren't they? Especially Reece Nelson. Another young player on the bench tonight, Christian Bielik. We talked about centre halves, didn't we, ahead of kick-off? There's certainly a shortage on this tour. Will Arsene Wenger go out there and buy another centre back? Christian Bielik often gets forgotten. He went on loan, I think, to Birmingham towards the end of last season. Did OK. Potentially a chance for him to remind the manager that he's someone that should be considered this year.
Well, that's what pre-season's all about, especially if you're a young player, you're coming back into the team, you want to go on the tour, you've got this opportunity and you know you're going to get a bit of game time. This is your time to really, have a go.
Yes, we don't know how long they're going to get, these substitutes. Will it be 45 minutes? Will it be sort of 22 and a half as it was on Thursday? We'll have to wait and see. Let's head back now to Sydney and the ANZ Stadium. Rejoin our commentary team of Russ Hargreaves and David Hillier.
So, Arsenal leading Western Sydney Wanderers 3-0 at half-time at the ANZ Stadium. Prepare for the second half. Olivier Giroud with a very crisp opener. Beautiful second, lofted over the top from Aaron Ramsey after brilliant work from Nacho Monreal. Mohamed El-Neni with a deflected third, setting the foundation very nicely indeed. Sets of players making their way back into the middle. Australia's biggest city. So taking a look to see if there have been any half-time replacements. None catching my eye so far, but alongside me, David Hillier, Eagle Eye, will also see whether or not both teams do make any half-time subs, or whether, like in the game on Thursday at the same venue, we see a few changes around the 65 to 70 minute mark.
Yeah, not sure when Arsenal will make these changes today, but obviously they're in a stronger position than they were at half-time. Those two there were certainly involved in the first half with Nacho, so no changes with the three players that are coming out now. Lacazette behind him with Ramsey. Looks pretty much the same sort of side. And yeah, it was a really good first half. 3 very different goals. A little passing one, really good move for Giroud's finish. The Ramsey one direct. And then a deflected shot, which was outside of the box. A really, really comprehensive first half from Arsenal.
Maitland-Niles and El-Neni with in-depth tactical chat there, just pointing about various aspects of the playing surface and how they maybe intend to vary things just a little bit in the second half. And I think we can safely confirm there that Arsenal are unchanged for the second 45 minutes. I've got to say I was very impressed with that man, Nacho Monreal. We know he can play as a left-back, as a left wing-back, or as the left side of a back three, and that's his role today, and I think he's done it brilliantly.
Yeah, he has. And the goal that he was involved in when he burst through, played the 1-2 with Lacazette, it's kind of right, because you had Maitland-Niles, who was the right-footed one, coming inside, and he opened it up for Nacho. He just gives us that good balance down that side.
Get the ball over the top, of course, for Ramsey's as well. So excellent first half from the Spaniard. Underway, second half. Jinking one forward as far as Iwobi. Patient build-up from the Gunners. Lacazette just caught. Tackle just slightly mistimed. Arsenal's new £52 million signing from Lyon. Unaffected, I'm pleased to say, though, as he takes his place in and around the edge of the penalty area. See whether or not we can have a solid bit of dead ball delivery. There was one cracker, but a few disappointing ones in the first half.
Yeah, we had that left-footed in-swinger, didn't we, where Giroud should have made a little bit more of.
Right footer this time from Oxlade-Chamberlain, and I tell you what, it wasn't a million miles away from connecting with Lacazette there, and it certainly took the defence by surprise.
Yeah, he wasn't. I think it was just that tiny bit too far in front of Lacazette for him to go. That's why he didn't really make a movement for it. I don't think that was too bad a delivery.
Variety, David, as we know, is the spice of life in this kind of situation, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Arsenal have got to keep trying to mix it up. You know, it's a pre-season game as well, so it is a chance to try things, as I said, first half. It's always nice to those things that you do in training when they do come off in games.
Reception from Ramsey to Xhaka. Giroud's got 3 players on him. Ricochet off Lacazette. Hugging quite a wide line early in the second half, actually, Lacazette. Saw him by nicely, occasionally a little bit more centrally with Giroud in the first half.
Yeah, and if you look, but whenever Giroud's getting on the ball, or he makes a one where he looks like he's about to get on the ball, Lacazette will always spin towards Giroud. He wants to be involved in, and you can see he's very much been involved in partnerships as a forward.
Got the option of width when needed, but then that man off the shoulder as well, which hopefully is a good combo.
Yeah, as he pulls off out wide, ball goes into Giroud, then he comes in off the side. You know, he's used to playing in a partnership.
Brilliant run from Oxlade-Chamberlain, who takes 3 players out of the game. He's still going the Ox. He's running into a little bit of a blind channel, but does fantastically, Oxlade-Chamberlain. This is a brilliant run. The appeal was certainly valid to put out there, because there was a bit of a shoulder block. Should maybe surrendered complete possession of the ball at the time, but it's a brilliant, brilliant run.
Yeah, I think it was Mellin who stopped him there, and it was a shoulder challenge. It was a very strong challenge. I don't think, not for me, it wasn't really a foul. It was a good, strong play. I think the Ox had done well to get as far as he did in that move.
Excellent work from Arsenal. Oxlade-Chamberlain doing brilliantly, and across to the right, there is one Arsenal change. Nothing to do with the 10 outfield players, but David Ospina has been replaced by the Argentinian Emiliano Martinez. So Emi Martinez on for the second half. Elneny looking for a second goal! What an effort from Mohamed Elneny! Giroud over the crossbar. Elneny with a deflected first, went for a sweetly struck and pure second. Bending, beautiful effort, and half an inch out.
Well, this one certainly doesn't take a deflection. He's got a little bit of time to set it up, but he guides that beautifully inside of his right foot. Look at the curl, and it's just coming down a little bit too late, underside of the bar. Normally you see those, they'll go down and go over the line. That one, unfortunately, it bounces a yard out, and Giroud just can't get on the end of it. Lovely technique, though. Beautiful technique.
Maybe not even half an inch, a quarter of an inch. That would have then clipped the bar and gone in, I think.
Makes all the difference. Yeah, and, you know, I think that one would have given him a little bit more joy than his first.
We've seen him have a few pops from distance in his time with the club, the Egyptian, and a bit success in terms of goals, but cracking efforts in this game. The perhaps less pure strike got him the goal, and the absolute belter denied agonisingly. Certainly sent a buzz around the ANZ Stadium early in the second half, as a few fans finally take their seats the rest of this second 45 minutes. Counter-attacking. Blocked by Melling. Oxlade-Chamberlain overruns one. Back to the far side, having made that devastating run from this near left side, interestingly.
Yeah, they're chopping and changing around. I mean, that's part of the feature of Arsenal. I was surprised in the game against Sydney that Reece Nelson was popping up left side, you know, quite regularly, proper left wing, and he was playing right side. But that's about confidence, and then someone else fills in, you know, and the players rotate around.
Iwobi is being tugged. Free kick, takes it quickly. Again, Arsenal stretching possession to the other field. Nas's delivery not the best on that occasion, but Iwobi's got it again. He's hungry early in this second half, is Alex Iwobi. And Chamberlain's delivery from a standing start was another beauty, actually, wasn't it? And it certainly bamboozled Josh Ritson.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's expecting it. It's coming, it's gone across that 6-yard box area and again, just bounced into Risson's mid-drift, and the best he could do really was put it out for a corner, because I think Lacazette was just about to react. You know, even though it was late, he was thinking, I might have a chance here if this guy tries to control it, but it went out of play, fortunately, for the Wanderers.
Nenny, shoot is the cry from the crowd. Clever delivery instead, the keeper's not got there. Can Lacazette hook it back in? Giroud does well. Houston again, who's the man on the line to smack the ball to safety. Keeper had done well up until this point, but overstretched himself a bit there.
Yeah, he let himself down a bit, the keeper. I mean, Giroud has out-jumped Janjetovic there quite easily.
Deep with another throw.
Really impressed with El Nini. They look really comfortable across the back. I know they've not had much to deal with in terms of attacks against them, but you know, on the ball and just their positioning, their depth, it's been really good, and they look really well balanced.
And his attempts to find Xhaka there didn't quite happen. It's left a little bit of a gap, and Ashok has kept the ball in play, but the 18-year-old slips at the key moment. Real and the back tracking El Neni, slightly fortuitously, deal with the situation. Just a timely reminder for Arsenal not to take things lackadaisically. They've got their concentration levels high. He bides his time and it's a timely interception with the header. Iwobi still full of running. Xhaka's curling through ball. Well read.
First contribution this half, Xhaka. You know, he's trying to get on the ball, but he's been kind of flanked either side by the two Wanderers midfielders, and it seems to be Aaron Ramsey that's getting the space. He had opportunity there to play it over the top, but just didn't get enough height on that forward pass.
We are very calm in the face of pressure from Kusakami. Once again, the Monreal, Elneny and Koscielny back three. Calmly and confidently bring the ball forward. Niles onto his favoured right foot. Onto with Lacazette. Crack, Maitland-Niles takes the deflection. Yeah, good link work from Alexandre Lacazette, just peeling off and being there as that supporting player.
Yeah, and I think he was there again. I think Maitland-Niles could have probably popped it off him and had a double 1-2 there. Elected to go for the shot. The deflection took all the pace out of it. A little bit far away for me. Should have played another pass.
Again, Arsenal just restricting the options for the Western Sydney Wanderers, and can do is pass the ball out of play.
Yeah, Ospina, I can't remember him making a save in the first half. I wonder if Martinez is going to be called on, as he was against Sydney. He made a couple of good saves when he came on against Sydney on Thursday. But Ospina getting away with not having to make any in that first half.
Arsenal's performance levels just dropping a little bit the last 5 or 10 minutes after a strong start to the second half. The ball away 2 or 3 times now. Nisbet screaming for the ball. Instead, Bonavacia decides to go right at the second time of asking to Risdon. To Bonavacia, who couldn't control it, but it falls kindly. Belting effort. Martinez was called into action. Thumps the woodwork. Feels for a back pass there against Ramsey, and that's been given. Ramsey, I think, is saying he didn't really know quite where he was and was just clearing the ball, but ultimately he did pass it straight back to the keeper, Emi Martinez.
Yeah, it all came from this lovely shot. I think it's Clisby, strikes it cleanly, and again we're talking about maybe an inch this time. That was more central in the bar, but if that one goes in, you know, it gives them a bit of confidence. I can't see them coming back from it, but it's led to this indirect free kick that's going to be right on the edge of the 6-yard box. Someone could be taking one in the face here.
Don't see these kind of situations too often in a modern day game. Emiliano Martinez and pretty much the entire Arsenal team, as you can see, on the goal line. Referee Gillette just making sure that nobody dares to encroach. Can't really be 10 yards in this situation, but you can certainly be 6.
One thing you've got to be is brave.
Pace, part of the anatomy, who knows? Well blocked. Goal is scored in the end, though, by Western Sydney. Follow-up from Stephen Lustica. Initial effort reined in by Melling. Lustica, the former Hajduk split man, the Brisbane Roar, fires one home, and they're on the board of Western Sydney. Arsenal 3, Western Sydney Wanderers 1.
Well, you know, it's an opportunity which you should score from when you're that close. First one, as you say, gets whacked in here. In fact, it's the same player, hits the first one, Melling touches it to him, comes off the side of Giroud, back to Lustica, and he just, you know, takes it really well into the roof of the net, and it's a goal that you could say they deserve. They've done quite well for the first 12 minutes of this half. It's been slightly more even, and they've taken their first opportunity.
Kind of coming, wasn't it, in the sense that, as we were just discussing, Arsenal's performance levels had faded a tad in the last few minutes, and this may well be the little up the backside that the Gunners need to put themselves back into the ascendancy as they've been to the rest of the game. This is much more like it already. The Niles, Giroud and Lacazette all combining. Rowan is the net reward. View there of the ANZ Stadium in all its glory. As of course of the Olympic Games in 2000, the World Cup final with Johnny Wilkinson et al. In 2003. Great stage for 2 games of Arsenal's 2017-18 pre-season campaign. And Niles doing his best to goal scorer under pressure, and at least he won the throw, didn't he? Showed good heart and a good engine.
Yeah, it was a hopeful
ball. Not.
Yeah, it was a hopeful ball from Laurent Koscielny, and he does well, Maitland, to keep it in. As you said, I think, yeah, energy levels maybe just dropping a bit, maybe getting towards that 65-minute mark, 70-minute mark where changes are going to be made, fresh faces, and not exactly players without a pedigree.
And then he with a poor pass this time, and Lustica is the player who intercepts. Koscielny's on his heels. Oh, and they've got their timing wrong. There were numbers both sides for Western Sydney. Mashuk picked it up. Just mistiming of the run and the pass. To exchange a couple of words actually there, but it was a really good chance to maybe get a second if they could have got that one right.
Yeah, I think Magic was saying he wanted it slightly earlier, and the pass couldn't come any earlier because of the pressure on the ball. But yeah, just little signs showing that maybe Arsenal were tiring. As I was going to say, looking at the pedigree on the bench, you can't but look forward to the substitutions with the likes of Ozil, Walcott, Welbeck, Coquelin. It's got some exciting players to come on.
Well, the youngsters as well. Did you see a few of the teenagers maybe get another crack? Bielik, Nelson, Nketiah, Joe Willock. Excellent news for Arsene Wenger to call upon. It was 67, 68 minutes into the game on Thursday against Sydney FC that the changes were made. One finishing 2-0 as we well know, and it's now just a 2-goal advantage for Arsenal. This game against the other A-League team, Sydney. Interplay quite working. A couple of replacements. Chris Hurd, formerly of Aston Villa, if you remember. Predominantly right back in his time at Villa Park, now 28, via Perth and one or two lower league teams in the UK. Chris Hurd's career has dipped a little in recent years. He's onto the field, as is that man wearing 9, Oriol Riera, who is the club's new marquee signing. Effectively his debut, 31-year-old, spent time in the Barcelona youth setup, Wigan Athletic in the UK, Deportivo La Coruña, Osasuna. He's got a decent pedigree as Oriol Riera. He's onto the field wearing 9, as Chris Hurd. We're about to see Michael Thwaite come on as well, wearing 33. He's also on the sidelines. It is Western Sydney the first to make a few changes, and with a bit of impetus back in the game, I guess why not?
Yeah, I didn't see who actually came off them, but I know I think Jacob Melling came off and he was really industrious in the midfield, but he's just worn himself out, and more changes happening as we speak.
So Brendan Hamill off, the former Aussie under-23 international, to be replaced by Michael Thwaite. And Thwaite is another new signing for the season ahead. 34 years old, veteran presence, 13 Australian caps to his name. Another wise head to bring on the Wanderers in the final half an hour of this game. Wenger for now keeping his powder dry in terms of replacements. Information of that latest replacement on the screen. And a ball this time from Xhaka. Wobie trying to weave his way through. Just too congested a 6-yard box to work his way through in the end, but close control once again from the Nigerian international.
Yeah, it was a nice little clip through with the outside of his foot from Xhaka. Picked up nicely by Wobie, but again, as you say, snuffed out. Too many bodies in the box, everything a bit too tight. Probably needed to come back out of the box and go wide.
Now Wobie thinks about a shot, plays the through ball instead. Oxlade-Chamberlain forced a little wide and just couldn't quite cut the ball back to Wobie. Xhaka increasingly involved as he was in the first half, growing into this half as well. Wobie again. Rubus waiting to lurk. Not been a last gasp interception.
I think that goal has just made Arsenal sharpen themselves up a little bit, just push forward. They was dropping on the back foot a little bit, so they've just gone forward, using forward as a part of a defensive attack. They've gone in and managed to get a couple of chances at the Wanderers' goal. I think a lot of players getting their bibs off now on the Arsenal bench. I think it's about time for a few changes from Arsene Wenger's men.
Likes of Walcott, Welbeck, Coquelin, Bielik warming up furiously. Stand beneath the commentary vantage point. They would appear to game 1 of this Australian leg of the pre-season tour, which is to roll in the subs around 67, 68 minutes in addition to changing the keeper at half-time. Here's Hurd. Third spell in Australian football now. Bounced between UK and Australia on a couple of occasions now. Chamberlain doing his best to dispossess Jack Clisby. Again, it's Sydney who are the team bringing the ball forward. Side, I think, is the call. It is. Here's Riera. On target from the club marquee signing. The first touch that might well have been for the club had he banged that one home.
Yeah, it was a really good run from him as well. He's held his line until the last minute. Bent into the look in between Elneny and Monreal. Really good timing. Didn't expect him to be able to turn also and get a shot off, but did really well.
Here he's putting the replacement Thwaite under pressure. Out to see. on those changes, as he does with Theo Walcott. Mertesacker, Jim Bielik, then Willock, Leod Lezinak, Welbeck, Reece Nelson, onto the field. The starters being taken off. Applause for some of the names coming onto the field. And why not Eddie Nketiah is there too. I think I'll make that a complete round of changes.
It does look to be, Russ, yeah. I mean, of all the players that have come on as well, it's the young lads I'm looking at. You know, I know what the likes of Ozil and your Welbecks and your Theos are capable of, but it's the confidence of these youngsters. You know, on the ball now, Joe Willock, I thought he was really, really comfortable and confident against Sydney. Looking forward to seeing him carry that on.
And we didn't mention was Francis Coquelin, who is there as well.
I think what you will see, Russ, with the amount of younger players that have come on now is just the tempo maybe raise a little bit with their enthusiasm. And Arsenal press on for this fourth goal.
12 Arsenal players on the bench. I'm, by my son, saying 11 have now come on. So the one player I don't think we'll see this evening, therefore, is Alty Cohen-Brown. I think he is the one player we will not see. So, Kolasinac, who, as we know, can play again, Monreal-esque as the left side of a back three, or in the left-back position, has assumed that particular role, the free transfer, 23-year-old German from Schalke. There he is, near side of our screen. So he, Mertesacker, are now back three.
Yeah, this is the same three.
With young Christian Bielik.
Same three at Western Sydney, and really looked competent. I thought Bielik settled in really nicely with them, but I was really impressed with Kolasinac.
Decent through ball, nearly finds Walcott. Bender slid and just about did enough, and Arsenal have pressed forward and we've opened up the counter-attack potentially, but Riera exactly show a huge amount of go-forward momentum. Potential attack opportunity is kind of wasted from Western Sydney. Bielik, a super young player, obviously coming through from, as you've all saw, as a youngster, and I'm on loan at Birmingham City last season. Some good performances as well for the Arsenal junior ranks before that, and very highly rated young player who started as a defensive midfielder and now has kind of been converted predominantly into a centre-half. Wonder what role he could have in the future, hopefully.
Well, the thing is, you know, in this squad you've got so many players in front of you, even in the defensive positions now, that they can play in multi-roles. You know, they can play right, they can play left, they can move into a defensive midfield position. So I think the utility player of old is still out there, but Arsenal have got 3 or 4 for the defence, for the midfield, even to play up front, who can play in different positions. So you can never pick who's going to get on the pitch in an Arsenal side.
Premier League 2 skipper Ben Sheaf, another good example of that. As here come a couple of the other youngsters from that competition with their chance to shine. Eddie Nketiah to Joe Willock. Ball through. Quite a success on this occasion. As Coquelin gets his first meaningful touch. Willock has taken up the position on the right-hand side, finds Welbeck. Ozil surveying his options, wants to go short. Just a feeling that something might be about to be unleashed from the Gunners, the tension maybe before. But Storm faces on the field, eager to impress again, as they did for the majority of that game against Sydney FC. It's a ball over the top, and Nketiah's got space. Bit of shot there, actually. Selflessly tried to play it across the 6-yard box and lacked suitable opportunity to find one of his teammates.
Yeah, I think there wasn't many options as far as pulling it back goes. So, you know, for my money, maybe he should have took the gamble. But that's the sort of cross that Ox should have been doing in the first half. When you want to go far post, you go far post. If you leave it hanging in the middle, it's easy to defend, easy to pick up. So you either go near or far. That was a really good ball, and I think it was Reiss Nelson flipped it over, and he's started where he left off in the game against Sydney. He really had a good game. I'm really impressed with him so far in this pre-season.
Seen a fair bit of Joe Willock and Reiss Nelson since coming off the bench in this game already. Nketiah has also been a lively presence for those players, 17, 18 and 17 respectively.
I know, it's absolutely frightening. You know, they're going out with players like Mesut Ozil and have the confidence just oozing out of them, the skill and the ability to just blend in and look like one of the superstars.
Asinak with a lovely interception there. Here's Welbeck. Welbeck thinks about the shot. He caught slightly in two minds there. Missing a penalty in the game on Thursday, keen to atone for that with a goal, and had two options there and seems to be quite sure which of them to take.
Yeah, I think it was a kind of in-between effort. Yes, kind of come shot, but you're taught as a player, always go across the far post, because if it gets palmed out, you get another chance at it. If you go near post, it's much easier for the keeper to save. So he's done the right thing there, Danny. Got the best execution.
Nelson, the player temporarily dispossessed. Important interception from Captain Robert Cornthwaite there, because two more Arsenal youngsters were waiting to pounce if the ball made it back into the penalty area. There is Nelson, so impressive in the game on Thursday night. Quote about Reiss Nelson from John Cross, established Arsenal writer in the Daily Mirror. Scintillating display, Nelson's words, which not words to be used lightly.
No, it sums it up. I mean, from the get-go, he was on it, he was attacking, he was positive in everything he done, and you know, he was giving the ball, not just giving the ball to keep continuity, to receive it, but also to make progression forward, put great crosses in. He had opportunities himself, he had a couple of shots, he was involved in the goals. You know, it was a really good all-round performance, and it's the first time I've seen him, so that made it more impressive for me.
Very consistent performer in the Premier League 2 playing last season. Had the pleasure of seeing him play a good few times, and several with immense potential. As David Hillier mentioned, potential in different parts of the pitch when needed as well. And interchangeability for players like Maitland-Niles as well is very, very exciting. This young man, Christian Bielik, as we mentioned, has changed positions already in his young career at 19 years old. Excellent turn from one of the older campaigners, Theo Walcott, well over 10 years at the club for Theo. Thought that Walcott had picked up an injury niggle in game one, but he appears to be full of running, even if then he couldn't quite feed Nketiah.
Yeah, he looks fit and strong, doesn't he? Just a little bit too much on the pass, but does well to wriggle free and turn, be able to run. It's a good turn, good first touch of his left foot, good strength, then the pace to move away from the players. It's just this final little pass, needs to just have a little bit taken off it.
But with a bit of a slick back hairdo. Season to come. Player who again lost his first team place toward the end of the campaign. Never quite recovered from that. I won't bring it up too much for our listeners or viewers. I'll give you 1 second before we get back to that, because opportunity for Western Sydney. Riera with the pot from distance, but Walker never quite recovered from being captain of that game at Crystal Palace. Seemed to just really sap confidence out of him, and the end of his season was a bit of a whimper, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and sometimes it can be a long road back, you know, when you have an injury right at the end of a season as well, and you sort of, you know, you're not going to make the start of the next, and it drags on, and yeah, and he's had a tough time, but the one thing that he's always give everything, and he's never complained. You see him in interviews and stuff, he doesn't moan about when he's been left out. He knows he's got to work harder, and he's got faith in the manager's decisions, and I think that's why he's still here.
Once again at this formative point of pre-season, hoping to prove his point to all concerned and make sure he's once again an important part of Arsenal's first team picture for the season ahead. Etty looks for Walcott. Was calling for it, but it was well read by the Western Sydney Wanderers defence. Sydney struggles to control the ball first time around, and again the potential counter-attack is lost. Still pressing here, and Ozil among them. Part of his game that he's perhaps not always given the credit for that he deserves, but just pressed there, didn't he, and helped force a fairly sloppy ball forward.
Yeah, and I think because there's a bit of youth in this side, they are pressing a bit more than the 11 that was on that started the second half, who were kind of fading with maybe a little bit of fitness. Here we see Mertesacker. Yeah, he goes up, he's a strong header, isn't it?
Just catches Riera in the side of the face with his wrist, but nothing too serious. And Sakami is the player in an offside position for the first time in this game. Western Sydney just mistiming that crucial final through ball.
Yeah, he's way offside, isn't he? I think he's trying to nick a couple of yards. He's been on the pitch the whole of 76 minutes. He looked tired in the first half, and I remember you saying to me, Russ, and I think he's done well to carry on this far. He's looking a bit tired now. I think he was trying to nick a couple of yards.
Again, to see these various Arsenal back threes, though, having the right synergy between them. Player who's kind of waned in his influence is that man, Kieran Backus, wearing 15, and player upended to win the free kick. I do like the way that, no matter who is playing in this back three, they seem to have their timing for the offside trap spot on.
Yeah, they look quite comfortable. I mean, when these three started the game against Sydney on Thursday, I just, I hadn't seen them play together before, but they just looked fantastic. I mean, Mertesacker in the cup final didn't look like he had anything left to give. I didn't know if he'd play football again after that game. He was so tired, but he looked fit and composed and strong, and he gives them real good guidance back there. I think Bielik, can just play his own game, be really comfortable, and Kolasinac has settled in like he's always been there.
Wonderful story, Per Mertesacker out for so long, the Arsenal club captain, and then to step in for the cup final and such a key role in beating Chelsea at Wembley was brilliant, and hopefully we'll see a fair bit more of Per as a player this season before his new role, of course, the season after.
In the cup final, I don't use the word colossus very often. I mean, Tony Adams was one, just because of his presence. For me, Per has always been exciting and had good experience and knowledge, and been a good reader of the game. But in that game, he did actually, for me, from having no fitness, no season behind him, he put it all out there, and he was a colossus in that cup final.
All over the top is beautifully chested down by Eddie Nketiah, who thought about maybe taking the ball on his right foot, opted to go back toward the byline and done well to win the corner. But with all the other leaders out, injured, suspended and so on for that final, one was desperately needed in the back three, and all the more importance and plaudits to Mertesacker as a result. Variety as we called for this time. Jinked in. Bad ball in the end from Reiss Nelson. He thought about staying on his line before eventually coming and getting it at the second attempt. Looks like the skipper is down.
I wonder if it's his own goalkeeper. Yeah, it's his own goalkeeper that's caught Cornflake in the side of his head. He was lucky there as well, Janjetovic. He got on it second because he didn't take it cleanly, did he?
Not the worst of balls from Nelson.
Maybe a little bit too flighty, but it's still in a good enough area to cause a problem. It was on top of players, and where the keeper really had no right to come.
I'd like to see Arsenal not lose a half on this pre-season tour, particularly of this Australian leg. So, boys, let's at least one more goal in the bank, because second half evidence, Arsenal are actually a goal down. All the 11 changes of the past 15 or so minutes for something. Big ball over the top, well controlled by Coquelin. It's more like it, Nketiah turns, but be a flash trick too many. Coquelin reads the loose ball, finds Walcott. As Elneny did early in the second half, Walcott opening up that right boot to bend one into the corner. We saw it pretty much every inch of the way, though.
Yeah, he did exactly the same. He kind of telegraphed that one a little bit, didn't he? And I think from that central position, he had to try and wrap his foot around it a bit more. Didn't set it wide enough. So, maybe he should take some lessons from Elneny in the next training session.
Here's a shot on target, though, and hopefully something for Arsenal to build on in these final 10 minutes. Ozil tried to thread the ball through to Walcott. Didn't work, and Rolly Bonifacia, former Wellington Phoenix man as well. Then, it's rather shoddily given away. They had Kolasinac, the player who actually infringes after trying to put a little bit of pressure on the Western Sydney defence. Saka reading the danger. Fassia, the player, down after Kolasinac charging back to assist. Ketia with the Welbeck. Sharp counter-attack, at least they get the throw.
Yeah, it was a good sharp counter-attack after the attack from the Wanderers, and Kolasinac there showing good pace and strength. It reminds me a little bit of Ivanovic. Kind of that kind of sturdy, strong, not got the height, but you know, he's just a very efficient, technical, but just does his job really, really clinically strong.
Young player, the Bosnia-Herzegovina international, 23 years old, German-born. One player is Ozil, who sleds it through. Next delivery. Has found his man. Coming forward in numbers. The same two players combining again. As far as Nketiah, who's being wrestled out of it. Yeah, does well, but again, the ricochet is not fortuitous for Arsenal. Calming. Trying to run from him, though. He's given it away very cheaply, and Joe Willock is the player upended. Willock's been clipped in pretty cynical fashion. Joe Willock running across the edge of the 18-yard box, and well, have not been too far away from pulling the trigger. Will be a free kick in a very dangerous position.
Yeah, I think he definitely would have tried to pull the trigger in the first game. I thought he was outstanding. Brother of Chris, who's managed to get himself a little move to Benfica, didn't see a future for himself at Arsenal, so he's moved on. Yeah, I think if Willock had gone a couple more yards without being tugged there, he would have pulled the trigger on that one. Maybe got his first goal.
I think last season was the one that if Chris was going to really establish himself in the Arsenal first team picture, it needed to be then, and you can understand. It's a great loss because he's a great young player. I can kind of see why maybe that decision was made for his future development. Joe Willock, his younger bro, great talent, has won this free kick. Bent him beautifully. Oh, the ball was begging to be buried for the fourth. Fantastic free kick from Mesut Ozil. So much class in that delivery. Such a relaxed aura as he tried to fire this one home.
Yeah, look. No chance. Janjetovic hasn't even tried to dive for it. He knows he's got no chance, and really the rebound should have been followed up, put in. Opportunity missed there from Arsenal.
Ball bent so much, it just bent too much in the final second of its flight.
Yeah, he just doesn't give anything away by his run up or anything. He kind of runs up straight, so you don't know what side he's going to go with it, Mesut Ozil.
Part of the Western Sydney Wanderers bench is full of youngsters, and one of them is Tate Russell, wearing number 45. See one or two of the potential next generation of A-League stars given a run out for the final few minutes.
That should have been, the move was there, all the runs were made right, the space opened up for him. He should have just touch and bang.
Joe Willock, though, did incredibly well there, and he saw the opportunity for the loose ball after Walcott had done well initially, and Joe Willock came charging in and just had his heels clipped, and he's managed to win another very, very well-positioned free kick, and that's excellent work.
There he comes in here, just nicks it off the toe, and he, given the foul, I think it was slightly dangerous, slightly high, but it's in a good position now for Mesut Ozil. Let's see what he does with this one.
Wry grin on his face after that wonderful effort that was denied to him by the woodwork. Not steps away. Second time around for Ozil. Will it be his first goal of pre-season? Mertesacker not too far away, or just left him alone.
He knows he should have had 2 in 2, Mertesacker, but you know, it just shows the quality of Mesut Ozil. That free kick was nowhere near as good as his first one, and then sublimely he just pulls out the most fantastic threaded pass right through to Mertesacker's head, which should have ended up in a goal.
Per maybe as surprised as anyone to suddenly have the ball falling onto his head, and with his height advantage and with all the defenders peeling away, great chance.
I think maybe he might have been better off just flicking it up and trying an overhead kick, Russ.
Again, Arsenal don't extend their lead. Had 3 really good chances in the last few minutes, and Nketiah couldn't pull the trigger. Ozil's free kick that hit the woodwork, and Mertesacker's marked header. Arsene Wenger will be disappointed about this, won't he? That they have lost a bit of their momentum in the second half. The subs have created some chances, don't get me wrong, but from 3-0 at half-time, this is not the scoreline that Wenger would have wanted, clearly.
No, I don't think it's the scoreline he would have wanted. I don't think he'll be that disappointed, though. You know, I think the things that they're going to get out of this game far outweigh not winning the second half for us. But it's about getting the players through games, and what he will be very pleased about is none of his players are injured. They're all getting their fitness. They're all looking sharper and sharper. And you've got all these little bonuses appearing of the young players.
To back us off onto the field is 17-year-old Mark Tokic, and mentioned him in the build-up to the game. He's just graduated from the Australian School of Football Excellence in Canberra, and he's seen as something of an exciting young talent on the Australian scene, Mark Tokic, as he qualified and comes onto the field. So it's not just Arsenal who've got 17, 18-year-olds with incredible oozing class, it sort of would appear for their age.
Yeah, it's nice to see young players being able to play in a men's game and not look like youngsters. You know, and that's all in their preparation and in the way that their development and how well they've been looked after.
Buckle out. Morris. Masinac. Yeah. More tricks from Eddie. And a play this time as the ball is poked through from Ozil. Walcott! Oh, excellent save. He's had a slightly difficult time at times, Šantanović, in the second half, but he was unsighted there. The Croatian-born Aussie did well to stick out a big left hand.
Yeah, that's a good save, proper save there. You know, and it was great work by Arsenal. Ended up with that shot from Walcott, but Ozil, lovely little pass to pick him out.
A lot more short corners in the second half after Ozil's come on, and that one did not work. The players did not link up effectively. Willock found the ball played behind him, but he won it back, and that's excellent play from Arsenal. Welbeck has been pushed wider than he would have liked, but he got there, did Danny. Yeah, no, the move breaks down. Arsenal lost it, won it, and then kind of lost it again, and now they've won it again.
Yeah, it's very much like that. I mean, it's to be expected in the 89th minute. It's a bit end-to-end, and
this will be the 4th goal. This is a much better move to Nketiah, who's rattled the woodwork again. Walcott! Oh, good block from the defender. As the skipper Cornthwaite got across. Once again, Arsenal hit the woodwork in this game 3 times in the second half alone. Plus, of course, Western Sydney have hit the woodwork once in the second half as well.
yeah, he was unlucky there, wasn't he, Nketiah? Oh, another shot goes in. Yeah, Nketiah very unlucky. I think he thought he'd done enough, and he pulled it out. The shot went through a group of players off the inside of the post again.
Back to Ozil, lovely little pass from Ozil to him, and yeah, pretty much everything right. Goal for the youngster would have been such a boost to his confidence. We've seen how many goals he scored for Arsenal's under-18s, let alone a very decent tally in his first half season for Premier League 2. So each time he stepped up, He's had plenty in his locker. This, of course, will be the biggest test over time.
That's right, and in his previous chance, we said he needed to touch it and hit it really quickly. He did exactly that with that one, and that's the difference between being a top-level player and not making it to that grade, the sharpness and the quickness. So he's obviously got it. He's got it in the locker. We know that, and he was unlucky not to get a goal there.
Adapting, as David Hillier says, to get that shot away far better than previous occasion. Willock with that follow-up, we should add as well. And here he is again. Once again to Reece Nelson. Not quite the searing cameo in comparison to the brilliant 70 minutes of the previous game, but will this be the fourth at last? Ozil's through ball is a beauty. Looking for Walcott again. And again, the Wanderers' defence just about holds firm at the death. Arsenal coming forward in droves. Nketiah surely this time. Oh, the fine piece of defending. The ball just didn't fall to him.
Yeah, and again, I think if he releases that really quickly, if he does one of them little Alexis short back lifts, bang, he's got a good chance. But the pass from Mesut Ozil was beautiful. This one we're just going to see. Look at the timing of it. He just delays it the minutest part of a second.
Another short corner. This one's a better one. Got flights one in. And that is that. Australian leg done and dusted for Arsenal with 2 wins, 2-0 against Sydney FC and now 3-1 against Western Sydney Wanderers. All the goals for the Gunners coming in the first half for Arsene Wenger's men. Olivier Giroud, Aaron Ramsey, Mohamed El Neni winning those goals. Fair play to the Wanderers, who fought back well in the second half. Stephen Lustica getting their goal. Second time around from an indirect free kick. Arsenal smacking the woodwork on 3 occasions. Western Sydney won. Certainly a game full of incident and drama. And again, 22 different Gunners getting the chance to put their plate forward for the rest of pre-season and forward into the campaign to come. Bayern Munich and Chelsea await in China. ANZ Stadium in Sydney. Arsenal have taken it against the Wanderers by 3 goals to 1. I'll take you back to the studio. Stephen Hughes and Adrian Clark.
Thank you very much, Russ. The Gunners then didn't have it all their own way in that second period. Still ran out 3-1 winners against Western Sydney Wanderers. Much more competitive in that second period, wasn't it, Hughesy? Why do you think that was?
I don't know. It's probably a number of changes. I think we were unlucky, really, not to add more goals on the score sheet. You know, we had numerous chances at the post and the bar 3 times, I think we counted. But you know, overall, a thoroughly enjoyable game.
Yeah, it was an enjoyable game, wasn't it? I thought Arsenal created plenty, again, as you'd expect them to do. And in that second period, we thought we'd see a number of the younger players come to the fore, and we did. This time, Reece Nelson, I think we agree, was much quieter, didn't get on the ball as much. But another couple of guys really caught the eye in that second period, didn't they?
Yeah, Joe Willock again, we spoke about him before the game. Half an hour, you know, towards the end of the game he came on, and I thought he impressed again. Very alert, very live. I've got a lovely touch, can glide past players. Caught a couple of free kicks in dangerous areas, unlucky not to score, so he impressed again. Yeah,
what was it about him? I thought he was really smooth across the turf, very quick over a couple of yards. He seemed to be able to nip in and draw fouls, didn't he, around the box?
Yeah, he does. He can drive forward from midfield as well, and you know, he's good anticipation a couple of times as well, so he's definitely one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, another one that really stood out in that second period was Eddie Nketiah. We're used to seeing him as a forward player for the youth team, for the under-23s. Here he was at left wing-back. I guess Arsene Wenger just happy to give him the experience. But he got himself into the box a couple of times and almost scored at the end.
He did. He took a great touch. He couldn't quite get out his feet, but he done everything right. Cannon off the post. He was unlucky because it can be difficult. You know, you're a centre forward and then you're going to ask to play left wing-back. And, you know, I thought he'd done ever so well, drove at people, was composed on the ball, so another good performance.
In his shoes, in a young player's shoes, where you're being asked to play out of position, but you know that it's a wonderful opportunity. You're on tour, you're with the first team, huge crowd. Obviously, you just get on with it. What is your real mission? Is it just to do a good, solid, professional job? Do you have to sort of temper your expectations? Because it can't be easy for him to play at left wing-back.
No, it's not. But he's delighted he's got an opportunity. You know, when you get the opportunity, you'd have played anywhere. You know, when we were youngsters,
just do the right things.
Yeah, just do the right things and try and impress and you know, get on the ball. They all try and prove they're all very comfortable in possession. And, you know, a lot of them go home from Australia, you know, delighted with how they've done so far.
I think so, yeah. I think they've been really, really impressive, the younger guys. We saw an old head almost get his second goal in as many games in Per Mertesacker towards the end there. He was so good, wasn't he, in the FA Cup final? An absolute rock. Clear man of the match for me at Wembley. Do we see Per being involved too often in the first team this season or not?
Yeah, I think we do. I think, you know, he's not going to want to go out on a whimper. It's his last season playing. You know, he's competitive. He's going to want to get in the team. He's going to want to play, and you know, he's great influence on everyone around him.
Yeah, let's remind you now of those goals from Arsenal during the first period out in Sydney. They all came in pretty much a 15-minute period, and Nacho Monreal was at the heart of it, wasn't he, Sid?
Yeah, he was. You know, first goal, brilliant little 1-2. Lacazette took the ball on the run and just cut it back for Olivier Giroud. Great finish for the first goal, but Monreal playing.
I mean, that's the centre-back.
Yeah.
That's the left-sided centre-back that's making that run.
But we know he's got that in the locker. You know, when he plays wide left back, plays left wing back, he likes to bomb forward. He makes great runs. Timed his runs are excellent. And here he is, brilliant little 1-2 Lacazette, nice little flick. And as he's driving in the box, look, he's got his head up. He's got, who can I pick out? Olivier Giroud on the run and a good cut back to him.
Yeah, it's a really good piece of technique as well from Olivier Giroud. He knows exactly what he's doing, chopping this ball back across his own body. That's become almost a trademark finish, hasn't it, for Olivier over the last few seasons. This was an absolute peach of a pass, wasn't it, Hughesy?
Yeah, we thoroughly enjoyed this. I could see that again and again. Great run from Aaron Ramsey. Olivier Giroud comes short, he runs in behind him, but it's all about the ball. The ball is fantastic. You can see the pass. It's a difficult thing executing it. It's a brilliant ball.
He's got to do this more often, hasn't he, Aaron Ramsey? Because if you're a central midfielder up against Aaron, man-to-man in the Premier League, you know that he is going to run you the other way, the way you don't want to go, time and time again. And he's got to make himself more of a nuisance, I guess, for his markers.
Well, he's got great finishing ability, so when he gets in these positions, he can finish. We know that about him. And it's the timing of his runs, normally excellent. I think this formation definitely helps him in that central area. It definitely helps him, and playing with a more defensive-minded player alongside him helps him. Yeah. But he's got to be looking to get into double figures, the ability he's got. Yeah,
having a third centre-back is definitely going to help him have that licence to go forward, Aaron Ramsey. Here we've seen Monreal from centre-back make an impression. This was Mohamed El Neni playing at the heart of the back three. But it's rather a lucky goal, really, isn't it, in truth?
Yeah, it was, but we know he's got a great strike, El Neni. And, you know, there's lots of bodies in front of the keeper. He gets a bit fortunate there. But he was nice and composed at centre-half tonight. I was pleased for him, and I'm sure he's pleased to get on the score sheet.
Yeah, do you think that it's a one-off, really, for Mohamed El Neni in terms of playing at centre-half? We're not going to see that during the proper season, are we?
No, I don't think so. I think we've got, you know, a fair bit of cover at centre-half. I think, you know, we can fill in that position. But, you know, he's got the legs and the energy as a centre midfield player.
Yeah, we talked about Alexander Lacazette at half-time. We're pretty impressed with him. Obviously, it's a slightly alien role, not spearheading the attack, just playing off Giroud. We thought he linked up pretty well with Ollie in particular. In that second period, we saw Sead Kolasinac play left-side centre-half. Again, we think that will be his plan B position, don't we? We think he's more of a left wing-back. What did you make of Kolasinac?
Well, physically, he looks huge, doesn't he? He looks very strong, very comfortable on the ball. You know, he looks like he's not going to shy.
Tank, doesn't he?
He does. He's not going to shy away from challenges. I think the crowd could really enjoy watching him play this year. He looks a full-blooded player and a really good acquisition.
Well, it's good, isn't it? Because you've got Nacho Monreal, who can play at left wing-back or left-side centre-back, and really, in theory, he can do exactly the same. It's all about having two quality options, I guess, in every single position. When you look around at Arsene Wenger's squad as it stands today, where are the positions maybe where we need to strengthen before the season?
I know we're looking at a forward-thinking player. We're looking at potentially a winger. Obviously, there's contracts to be resolved as well, comings and going. So I think it will depend on what happens in the next couple of weeks on the outgoing to potentially see who we're going to get in. But a couple of positions, I think.
As a former central midfielder, how well do you think we're stocked in there? Obviously, Ramsey and Xhaka finished the season quite brilliantly, didn't they, together? I think everybody is expecting them to kick off against Leicester on Friday, the 11th of August. But aside from those guys, you've got players, I guess, that are coming back from injury, currently injured. You've got Cazorla, Wilshere. There's Coquelin and El Neni. You see Arsene Wenger looking to strengthen that part of the
potentially. You've got Oxlade-Chamberlain who can play in there as well.
Of course.
So we have got options in there, but you know, if the right player come available, you know, and the squad was right, then I think he would potentially look at that as well.
Yeah. What about further up the pitch? We got Olivier Giroud. We saw him score that goal in the first half. Has been linked, hasn't he, with a couple of English clubs, Everton and West Ham. Borussia Dortmund in recent days in the UK press have been linked quite heavily with him. Personally, I'd love him to stay because I think he is a wonderful option for Arsene Wenger, and he gives the squad something, and he gives the manager something that he hasn't really got in any other player. But I guess if you're Ollie and you're looking to play every week, aren't you? It's a tough one.
It's a tough one for him personally as well. I think he's obviously watched his French mate come in as well, Lacazette, who he probably thinks is going to start.
Well, he keeps him out of the French national team, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, but he's come in for big money. I think he's presuming he's probably going to be #1 striker. But, you know, he's had that over his time here a few times, Olivier Giroud, and fought people off. And he's definitely an impact player when he comes on. I would still like to see him at the football club, but he's got a decision to make for himself as well, that will he get as much football as he'd like?
He has, but if he does decide to stay, and we all hope he does, I think, he is a good egg, isn't he? He's a good player to have around the dressing room area. I can't remember really seeing a player that has recovered from so much adversity in terms of getting stick from the fans, from the press at times, throughout his period at Arsenal, Olivier Giroud. But he seems to bounce back every time. And then, when he is left out of the starting lineup from Arsene Wenger, often he comes on and makes an instant impression. He's a guy with a really strong mind, isn't he?
Well, he believes in his own ability, and you know, he doesn't let anyone sway that. And it can be difficult as well when the crowd are, you know, not taken to you, or you're having a bad game and things aren't quite going your way. But it never seems to faze him. He come on the FA Cup final. Danny Welbeck was having a great game. Everyone's thinking, and he made an instant impact, set up the winner for Aaron Ramsey. So he's definitely got this ability in him, and I'd personally like to see him stay as well.
Yeah, we move on to Asia, to China, where Arsenal, well, the fixtures get much tougher, don't they? You've got Bayern Munich coming up on Wednesday, Chelsea this time next weekend. Do you think that the gaffer will now be looking to start to nail down his 11 and to give the senior players a little bit more game time, or do you think these young players will get another opportunity out there against the bigger teams?
I think they get another opportunity. Okay. I still think it's quite early. I still think we've still got a few players away that have been playing late over the summer. So I think they'll get more opportunities. I think, you know, teams don't quite yet feel their strongest 11 or what they want to do at the start of the Premier League. So I think they get opportunities.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see the Emirates Cup when Arsenal return from the tour. A number of other players that have been given extended time off because they finished the season very late, they'll join up with the team. If you was a player currently, would you prefer to be out there right now, getting the game time in, getting the hard training sessions in, or would you be quite content to maybe leave it a little bit later, do some training at the training ground and come in towards the back end of pre-season?
I'd probably like to be out there with the lads. I'd probably quite enjoy it. I enjoyed going on the pre-season trips. I liked, you know, everyone's got different base levels of fitness. I personally needed a little bit more than probably some of the naturally fit ones like Alexis Sanchez.
Do you think they've got enough time when they do return? Your Rob Holdings, your Mustafis, your Alexis Sanchez. Do you think they've got enough time to get up to speed before the season?
I think they have, but if they haven't, the boss is very clever. He watches them, sees where they're not quite ready, and he just won't play them until he thinks they are.
Yep, absolutely. We do have highlights of the AFC v Bayern Munich game from China on Wednesday lunchtime, but the next full matchday show is a week today when the Gunners take on Chelsea at the Bird's Nest Stadium in Beijing. It's a 12:40 p.m. kickoff UK time, so we'll be on air previewing the game from 12:25 p.m. It's the first of two friendlies against the Premier League champions. It should be very interesting indeed. Reece Weston joins me for that one. In the meantime, feel free to check out the latest Arsenal Weekly podcast. There are interviews with Olivier Giroud, that man we've been talking about, and Hollywood film producer Gail Ann Hurd, among many other things. It's available on iTunes or the Arsenal website. Hughesy, it's been a pleasure, and really looking forward to seeing these tests against Bayern Munich and Chelsea. We should never read too much into them, should we? But I guess the gauge will be there this time, because we were expected to win comfortably against the two teams from Sydney. Against Bayern, it'll tell us where we are a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it'll be another step up, but, you know, these young lads as well get opportunities for another step up, see whether they can develop again. I'm sure they can.
Yeah, absolutely. Hughesy, been a pleasure. Thank you for your company. Thanks to everybody that's tuned in today and got involved on Twitter and email. Arsenal say goodbye to Australia with 2 wins from 2. They now head to China, where things will start to get a little bit tougher. We'll see you for the Matchday show next weekend.